Divine and mysterious immortality. I start my cultivation by adding points as a butcher. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 126, Destroying the Body and Covering Up All Traces. His reputation as a villain gradually rises. A conflict caused by greed eventually cost the lives of more than a dozen blood-refining realm martial artists. Even Lu Qingqing fell into Wei Hong's hands, which she never expected. At this moment, she no longer had the arrogance of the past. Her pretty face was just pale and drooping. Obviously, she also realized how troublesome her situation was. "You are so cruel and ruthless, and my Lu family has hit a wall," Lu Qingqing said with a miserable smile. "But don't be arrogant. My father will avenge me, and you can't escape from this place. Who can be scared by the small Lu family?" Wei Hong sneered disdainfully. "Whether I can escape from this forest or not, you will definitely die. If you don't want to suffer before you die, you'd better say whatever I ask, so as not to bother me to force a confession. You want to get words from me, you're dreaming." Lu Qingqing spitted. Her attitude was very tough. "Really?" Wei Hong's eyes moved down to her graceful figure, and he said with a smile, "Since Miss Lu is so stubborn, then let's forget about the torture. I will strip you clean, cripple your hands and feet, cut off your tongue and hang you up. I believe your father will be very happy to see you. You dare?" Lu Qingqing was so scared that her face turned pale. People like her are not afraid of death but afraid of embarrassment. If this is the way to play, she might as well hide her head and die. After all, the most important thing in the capital is face. If she loses face, it means that the Lu family's face is damaged. I'm afraid that the whole family will not be able to get along in the Prince Duan's mansion in the future. Speak now." Wei Hong was too lazy to waste words and asked directly, "What is your purpose in coming here this time?" "Kill the iron-winged green-scaled python and take its essence and blood back." Lu Qingqing answered tactfully. "The third princess's biological mother, Aunt Liu, is seriously ill. This essence and blood can cure diseases. Our Lu family is considered to be the third princess faction." "Haha, there are still a lot of factions in Prince Duan's mansion." Wei Hong sneered in disbelief and asked again, "What is the possibility of you completing the task this time?" 90%. Lu Qingqing answered again. "The iron-winged green-scaled python's strength has declined after giving birth. We have prepared a large amount of sulfur poison. It will not be difficult to kill it. How do you control the birds to track me?" "Just some tricks to control birds," Lu Qingqing said bitterly. "There are many sects in the martial arts world who are good at taming goshawks and birds to hunt enemies. The army also has the means to tame falcons to detect the enemy. There are special books on bird training in the Sutra library. How many hidden masters are there in your Lu family?" "Not many," Lu Qingqing answered honestly. "My father and third uncle were lucky enough to enter the bone refining realm. There are 3 bone refining retainers in the family. The rest are in the blood refining realm and the skin refining realm. We mainly rely on the power of Prince Duan's mansion. No one dares to touch us on weekdays." "Okay." Wei Hong was satisfied and raised his hand to punch. Bang! Lu Qingqing's temple was hit hard. The whole person fell to the side with eyes wide open in disbelief. Blood began to flow slowly from all 7 orifices. Obviously, his head had been turned into paste by the dark power. So far, the leader of the younger generation of the Lu family has died suddenly. Died in this deserted foggy swamp. Wei Hong was afraid that she was carrying something that could be easily tracked, so he even skipped the step of touching the corpse. He threw her into the quagmire and let her be swallowed by the swamp. It seems that Gu Heng's identity is not useful anymore. Wei Hong shook his head regretfully. The news of Lu Qingqing's death must be hidden. It would be strange if Lu Shenghong and the people from Prince Duan's mansion didn't go crazy. Everyone knew that she was chasing Gu Heng into the misty swamp. If he dared to show up at this time, I'm afraid the signboard of Wu Fang would not be able to protect him. Only by changing his appearance can he get away smoothly. It's just an identity anyway, just change it. Thinking of this, he chuckled and stepped into the mist and disappeared. An incense stick later, Lu Shenghong and others who were waiting outside the swamp did not wait for Lu Qingqing to come back, but instead received the bad news. A tall and thin martial artist from the Sandman claimed that he saw the body of the palace guards and came to report it. "What did you say?" Lu Shenghong was shocked. If you don't believe it, Manager Lu, just take your people with me to take a look. After the tall and thin martial artist finished speaking, he threw out a few bronze medals, which were surprisingly carried by the palace guards. I was fighting with a bunch of poisonous snakes, and when I passed a depression, I saw corpses everywhere. They were either beaten to death or stabbed in the head with a knife. They all died miserably. There were as many as 10 people. Lu Shenghong's face turned pale when he heard this. Lu Qingqing brought in exactly 10 people. Although her body was not among them, it was obvious that her end was not very good. They had hid a wall. Interesting. Yuan Xianhua, who had been silent, sneered, Niece Qingqing is in the middle stage of the blood refining realm. With 10 personal guards from the palace, she can deal with even those in the bone refining realm. Could it be that Ziyu from Wufang personally took action? She dare not, and she won't. Lu Shenghong gritted his teeth and said, Wufang is just a loose organization. How could she take such a risk for Gu Heng? This matter can only be done by Gu. But the information shows that he is only in the early stage of the blood refining realm. How could he be so fierce? Should we send some more people in to look for him? Yuan Xianhu asked. I dare not. Lu Shenghong quickly bowed his head and refused. The master's business is the top priority. Other things can be put aside. Whether my daughter lives or not can't delay the business. Well. Yuan Xianhu nodded with satisfaction. Lu Qingqing took people to solve some minor troubles and he would not interfere. But if Lu Shenghong dared to mobilize a large number of people to search for the enemy after this happened, thus delaying the hunting of the iron wing green scale python, he would be the first to disagree. The question just now was just a test. Lu Shenghong is indeed an old fox who has been in the Prince Duan's mansion for decades. For him, any family grudges are not as important as his own wealth and glory, let alone the interests of the family. Therefore, he has long suppressed the anger and murderous intent in his heart, as if nothing had happened. But the body still needs to be brought out. Lu Shenghong said calmly, I want to take a group of people in to collect the body. Do you have any objection? Okay. Yuan Xianhu waved his hand indifferently, his eyes kept looking at the mountains in the mist, and sneered, but hurry up, there's so much noise here that the iron wing green scale python must have been alarmed. If it escapes, you and I will have to bear the consequences. Understood. Lu Shenghong nodded and agreed. Turning around, he led 30 people into the misty swamp with an expressionless face. It was not until he saw the bodies of the palace guards scattered all over the ground that he finally dropped the calmness he had been pretending to be, and his face became twisted, painful, and hideous. Manager Lu, I am in condolences. The captain of the palace guards beside him sighed, I will send someone to track down your daughter right away. No need, we can't waste time. Lu Shenghong refused lightly, check the scene for traces of battle, see if the thieves have left any clues, and then let the brothers evacuate with the bodies. Okay. The captain of the guards nodded and quickly got busy. Please read and vote. Chapter 127 Since we have become enemies, why should we save face? In the evening, the task of cleaning up the misty swamp was gradually completed. The martial arts masters sent by the major scattered alliances gradually withdrew from the battlefield. After counting the number of casualties, the leaders all looked grim, because the casualties this time were really not small, and almost half of the alliances had been killed. At the beginning, 60 or 70 people entered the Dragon Ridge Mountains. Now there are less than 30 people alive. Almost all of these people were injured, and the degree of tragedy can be seen. However, after hearing that the royal guards also lost 10 people, and it was the work of Gu Heng from Wufeng, everyone couldn't help but gloat over the misfortune. Interesting, really interesting, 10 royal guards chased and killed a martial artist from a scattered alliance, but they were easily killed by someone. It's really funny. Ha ha ha, the guy surnamed Gu is quite capable, I like it. Ha ha, the bitch surnamed Lu was so rampant before, I thought she was so capable, but it turned out that she couldn't beat her with all her people. Everyone secretly discussed it. The few martial artists remaining in Wufang also looked at each other. Ziyu and Ji Seniang were especially shocked. They thought it was not easy for Wei Hong to escape the pursuit, and were thinking about whether to take the opportunity to find him and send him out of the misty swamp, but he actually killed the pursuer by himself. This strength is really shocking. Isn't he just in the early stage of the blood refining realm? Ziyu asked doubtfully. He must have hidden his strength. Ji Seniang snorted twice in dissatisfaction. This guy actually dared to lie to us, and he will definitely be in trouble one day. Forget it, Gu Heng's identity must be fake, and he will definitely have to change his identity in the future. Zai reminded casually. This. Ji Senyang was speechless and choked, and finally turned into silence. However, this incident did not cause any impact on Wu Fin. Lu Shenghong was busy confirming the safe route in the swamp as if nothing had happened, and at the same time sent a large number of people to confirm the current situation of the iron-winged green-scale python. From beginning to end, he did not come to Wu Fang to cause trouble. He is flexible. Ziyu sneered and put the matter aside for the time being. That night, the group hurriedly set up traps. A large number of royal guards crossed the misty swamp and broke into the lair of the iron-winged green-scaled python. At the same time, they poured in a large amount of sulfur poison powder, which directly angered the giant. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Its head was as big as a millstone, and it was as ferocious as a dragon. Its body, which was as thick as a bucket and as long as more than 10 feet, was covered with dense green scales. Near the waist, it actually grew a pair of thin iron wings as thin as blades. It could crush rocks and trees by swinging its body casually on the ground. It could casually swing its tail into the crowd and immediately beat more than a dozen royal guards away and vomit blood. The scene was horrifying. How dare you, evil creature! Yuan Xianhu shouted, and his body suddenly jumped. The whole person seemed to have lost weight and jumped dozens of feet away. He dropped from the sky and launched a violent attack on the giant python. Boom boom boom. Yuan Xianhu's fists and feet roared and the wind raged. The giant python coiled up in anger and fought back with its head. The two sides fought and the sand and rocks flew around. The forest in the dark night was like an earthquake, and countless birds and beasts fled in panic. But no one noticed that when the people in Prince Duan's mansion surrounded and killed the giant python and the martial artists of the Scattered Alliance dared not approach, a figure flashed into the snake's nest like a ghost. This person was naturally Wei Hong, who had been hiding in the dark. Originally, he planned to take advantage of the hunting of the iron-winged green-scaled python by Prince Duan's mansion to escape, change his appearance and continue to be free and easy, and find an opportunity to deal with the Lu family in the future. But seeing this chaotic scene, he had an idea. Since they have already made enemies, why should they save face for each other? Lu Qingqing said that their goal was the giant python's blood essence, but this might not be true. Is there anything else in the snake's nest that is worth their attention? Thinking of this, Wei Hong naturally took advantage of the chaos to go in and take a look. The snake nest of this giant python is larger than the nest of the black-scaled python. Now there is sulfur poison powder everywhere. The ground is also slippery, and the air is filled with an unspeakable stench. Wei Hong held his breath. In the dark cave, his eyes can still see clearly with the help of his eagle-eye talent skill. After a while, he broke into a stalactite cave. There are indeed 3 snake eggs in the giant python's nest. They are round, smooth, and green, about the thickness of a bowl. There are some bones, dead branches, and a swaying flower beside the nest. Ambergris. Wei Hong's breathing suddenly became rapid, and his eyes immediately fixed on this small flower. It has only 2 green leaves as a backdrop, and the flower is divided into 5 petals. Each petal has fine and dense scales, which looks very mysterious and strange. 100 Herbs and Principles records that there is a strange flower in the world called ambergris. It often grows in dark and humid places where giant pythons appear. Its flowers can cure all kinds of poisons in the world, its branches and leaves can strengthen muscles and bones, and its roots can cleanse essence and marrow. It is a rare magic medicine in the world. Hehe. Wei Hong couldn't help but chuckle. Lu Qingqing really lied to him. What they said about coming for the blood of the iron-winged green-scaled python was a lie. Their purpose was definitely this ambergris. It is a priceless good thing that money can't buy. Even the top powerful and wealthy family like the Prince Duan's mansion has to dispatch more than 100 people for it, and spend a lot of money to come from thousands of miles away, which shows how precious it is. As for the 3 snake eggs of the iron-winged green-scaled python, they are not ordinary things. If they are hatched and domesticated from childhood, they are very likely to be controlled by humans and become a ferocious tame beast, which is quite popular with many big families. It is said that some centuries-old clans with immortal heritage like to raise all kinds of ferocious beast cubs. First, they are strange enough to be taken out for a face, and second, their fighting power is stronger than that of human warriors, so they are very useful for guarding the house. Unfortunately, they are not easy to take away. If Wei Hong takes them out, he will definitely sell them for a good price. However, 3 snake eggs of this size are too conspicuous to carry on his back. He thought about it and decided to give up. One should not be too greedy, otherwise it is easy to get into trouble. He must take the ambergris away. As for the snake eggs, he would not leave them even if he smashed them. Wei Hong sneered and quickly dug out the ambergris with its roots, then tore off a piece of his clothes, wrapped it up carefully and stuffed it into his arms, and finally he breathed a sigh of relief with satisfaction. Then, he raised his hand and punched the snake eggs. Bang bang! 2 snake eggs were blown up on the spot, the eggshells shattered, and the egg liquid was spilled all over the floor. But just as he was about to destroy the 3rd snake egg, suddenly, a bad idea came to his mind. Wei Hong looked at the snake egg thoughtfully, and then listened to the roar of the battle outside, and couldn't help but reveal a hint of evil smile. Chapter 128. Divert the trouble away and escape perfectly. Hurry, hurry, go up and help. Form a formation to block the giant python's retreat. Don't let it escape back to its nest. Shouts rang out from the battlefield. Under the leadership of several captains of the bone refining realm, hundreds of guards from Prince Duan's mansion formed a military formation at the foot of the mountain, ready to guard against the iron-winged green-scaled python escaping back to its nest at any time. Once this behemoth escapes, it will be extremely difficult to hunt it again. At this moment, the giant python, which had been poisoned by sulfur powder, had already become drowsy and could not exert more than 30% of its strength. It could only rely on its thick skin and flesh to passively take a beating, and Yuan Xianhua, who was set off by it, looked like a god possessed. But just when everyone thought that the victory was set, Wei Hong took advantage of the night to rush out of the snake's nest. He held a snake egg in his arms, and relied on his eagle-eye talent to easily scan every corner of the battlefield, and finally locked onto the bodies of more than a dozen guards from Prince Duan's mansion in the distance. They were all wearing armor and fell to the ground in a mess. Obviously, they were all the unlucky ones who were beaten and vomited blood when resisting the giant python's attack in the first wave. Even if these people had the strength of the blood-refining realm, they would have broken their bones and internal organs under the attack of the giant python, and they all had no breath. After a while, Wei Hong's eyes fell on a tall figure. Next to the body was a quagmire, and there was still a faint mist around. It was very inconspicuous in the darkness, and no one around paid attention. "It's you." After Wei Hong selected the target, he quickly drew out a broken heart knife. He carefully knocked a small gap on the top of the snake egg. Then he threw the half-broken snake egg into the sky with force. In the dark night, there was a constant roar under the mountains. In the case of low visibility, no one noticed that a snake egg actually drew a parabola and hit Lu Shenghong accurately. He was protected by the guards of the palace at the moment, watching the battle coldly. Suddenly, he heard a sound of breaking air above his head, and his eyes turned cold and he subconsciously hid it with a palm. Bang! The snake eggs were shattered by the palm wind. The egg liquid was like a flower scattered by a fairy, splashing all over Lu Shenghong's head and face, and even the other guards of the palace were stained with a lot. Oops! Lu Shenghong's face changed drastically. Roar! The iron-winged green-scaled python, which was originally at a disadvantage, also went crazy. It smelled the smell of snake eggs and egg liquid, and it didn't know what was going on. Its huge eyes turned blood red in an instant, and after its tail swept Yuan Xianhua away fiercely, it spread its wings like crazy and pounced on everyone. "Be careful, scatter quickly!" Yuan Xianhua exclaimed when he saw this. "The green-scaled python has been stimulated and mad, scatter all, quickly!" Unfortunately, he was still a step slow. The visibility at night was originally poor, and the iron-winged green-scaled python was mad and fast. So many of them gathered together and had no time to dodge. The next moment, they were hit hard by the giant python. Roar! The giant python roared angrily like a dragon's roar. A bloody mouth bit wildly, and the body as strong as a mountain also rumbled and knocked everyone away. At the same time, the iron wings on both sides cut off the bodies of dozens of people like blades. For a time, the Duke Duan's mansion suffered heavy casualties. The most unlucky one was Lu Shenghong, who was stained with too much egg liquid. The iron-winged green-scaled python directly regarded him as the enemy who killed his son, and chased him like crazy. No matter how he screamed in fear and fled, he couldn't escape at all. Soon he was bitten by the giant python. "No!" Lu Shenghong screamed in horror. The next moment his body was bitten off. The flesh and blood were also swallowed by the giant python. But he didn't know why he was so unlucky before he died. He could only stare with his eyes wide open in pain, and was finally swallowed by the giant python. Evil beast. Yuan Xianhu was furious when he saw this. No matter how stupid he was, he knew that he was being calculated. Seeing that the team of Prince Duan's mansion had suffered heavy losses, he didn't have time to think about it. He jumped over the iron wing green scale python and launched a more terrifying attack. Boom! A series of angry fist winds fell. The iron wing green scale python's breath that was forced up by anger was quickly suppressed. Soon, it was hit on the forehead again and again by Yuan Xianhu's fists. Finally, it fell to the ground in a daze and died with convulsions. Who? Yuan Xianhu gasped for air. Seeing that the giant python was dead, he didn't show any joy. Instead, he rushed into the cave without stopping. After a while, the cave erupted with earth-shaking angry roars. Obviously, he had seen the situation in the cave. The ground was full of egg liquid and traces of excavation. No matter how stupid he was, he knew what happened. You bastard, you dare to intercept the fruits of my Prince Duan's mansion, you are looking for death. Yuan Xianhu walked out of the cave furiously, with a cold chill on his face. My lord. Several captains of the personal guard stepped forward tremblingly. Before they could say anything, he swung his sleeves in anger and sent them flying. These powerful bone-refining martial artists didn't even have the strength to resist and vomited blood on the spot. Immediately take people to search this mountain range. Do not let go of any suspicious traces. Also, detain all the scattered alliance martial artists. I want to investigate it myself. Yuan Xianhu roared angrily. Yes. The captains of the personal guards did not dare to say anything more and hurried down to do it. Soon, the remaining scattered alliance martial artists were summoned. Seeing the heavy casualties in Prince Duan's mansion, and seeing that the iron-winged green-scaled python had been killed, but Yuan Xianhu looked like he was going to go berserk, everyone was stunned. Obviously, they still didn't understand what happened. Someone just took advantage of the chaos to break into the snake's nest and smash the snake eggs. He also deliberately threw the snake eggs into my palace camp, causing great damage. Yuan Xianhu gritted his teeth, and his eyes swept across the audience with resentment. Each of you is a huge suspect. Please cooperate with the investigation now. What? How could this be? Is there anyone who dares to go against Prince Duan's palace? Everyone took a breath of cold air, and many people suddenly flashed a name in their minds: Gu Heng. Apart from Gu Heng of Wu Fen, who was so bold and dared to kill Lu Qingqing, who else would openly go against Prince Duan's palace? Obviously Yuan Xianhu also realized this. Now he is checking these people, but it is just a last-ditch effort. Naturally, everyone did not dare to resist in front of the master of the refining Zhang realm, and they lined up to be checked one by one. Yuan Xianhu's method of investigation was also very simple. Anyone who had stepped into the cave must have had sulfur poison powder on their feet. After all, this poison powder was sprinkled by the guards of the palace. It was unreasonable for anyone else to be contaminated except them. But after a thorough investigation, he was quite disappointed. Because there was no sulfur poison powder on the feet or the hem of their robes. There was not even a trace of sulfur on their bodies. No matter how unwilling Yuan Xianhu was, he had to admit that the last suspect was Gu Heng, who had disappeared long ago. After searching for traces in the surrounding area, the guards of the palace could not find any trace of Gu Heng. He disappeared without a trace like a ghost, and Yuan Xianhu was so angry that he wanted to go crazy. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129. When the wall falls, everyone pushes it, and the weirdness finally comes. On the evening of the second day, the Prince Duan's mansion and the martial artists of the Sanming retreated to the deserted village where they had been stationed. Yuan Xianhu spent a day and a night trying like crazy to find Wei Hong's trace, but unfortunately he didn't get any results. Not only did he fail to get the ambergris, he also failed to get the snake eggs, and he also lost dozens of good hands. Such a result of losing both his wife and his soldiers. This master of the refining organ realm was both angry and frightened. He knew that he would definitely be unlucky after returning to the palace, so he couldn't help but secretly hate the father and daughter of the Lu family. Why did they provoke that Wu Feng Gu Hang for no reason, causing himself to be implicated? Lu family, I will deal with you when I go back. Yuan Xianhu growled with gritted teeth. The voice was heard clearly by many people. On the stretcher with more than a dozen wounded lying on the side, Wei Hong, who had already disguised himself as a personal guard of the palace, couldn't help but curl up the corners of his mouth. He knew that the Lu family was finished. Having offended a man like Yuan Xianhua, Lu Qingqing and Lu Shanghong also died in the Longji Mountains. How could a small Lu family not be pushed down by the crowd? And Wei Hong only needs to change his identity to continue to be free and easy. This inexplicable hatred has come to an end. Perhaps no one could have imagined that he did not escape, but swaggered and threw the body of a royal guard into the mud to sink, then took off the armor and put it on himself, pretending to be seriously injured and dying, and was carried out of the mountains. Because of the serious injury, he can remain asleep. He does not need to talk to anyone or do anything, and with his superb disguise, there is no possibility of exposing his identity. Even if Yuan Xianhu is next to him, he is still bold and confident. Haha, idiot. Wei Hong sneered and closed his eyes to rest, trying his best to restrain his breath, pretending to be seriously injured and dying, and refusing to reveal any flaws. On the way back, they had to take away the materials and flesh of the iron-winged green-scaled python, and also bring back the wounded, so they did not walk fast. It took a day and a night to get back to the deserted village to spend the night. The bonfires were lit again. The surviving guards of the palace and the scattered alliance warriors were all listless and depressed, which was a world of difference compared to the high morale when they spent the night here a few days ago. Sister Xiaoyu, we won't be implicated by this, right? Ji Sanyang couldn't help but look worried. No. Xiaoyu sneered as she roasted a rabbit. Let's not talk about who did this yet. Even if it was Gu Heng, Senior Yuan would have no excuse to attack us. At most, it would involve the Lu family. I hope so. Ji Sanyang sighed and said distressedly, I don't know how he did it. He is really a monster. Xiaoyu also said with interest, a blood-refining realm can fool so many people and take away the things that Prince Duan's mansion wants. I don't know why this person is so bold. So many people died in Prince Duan's mansion this time, and they lost face. I'm afraid he will be mad. Who cares? It has nothing to do with us anyway. Everyone was chatting privately. Gu Heng's name quickly spread among the scattered alliance martial artists. Everyone was well known and in awe. After midnight, everyone ate and drank enough and began to rest. After many days of hard work, they can finally return. Tomorrow, after all the wounded are settled, they can ride their horses and return to the capital in 1 day and 1 night. After completing the task, you can not only get money, but also go to the Sutra Pavilion in Prince Duan's mansion to exchange martial arts. Everyone was in a very good mood, and their vigilance dropped to the freezing point. I don't know when a faint mist spread all around. The martial artist who was on guard by the campfire frowned and couldn't help complaining, what kind of weather is this? It's so cold in June? Isn't the fog too thick? It's a bit chilly. The martial artist next to him laughed and said, but isn't it like this near the mountains? The misty swamp is foggy all year round. What's so strange about this? That's right, go to sleep. We have to travel tomorrow. Amidst a conversation, a martial artist of the scattered alliance stood up woodenly and walked towards the village. Brother Li, what are you doing? Maybe you have to pee. The people around joked and didn't pay much attention. After a while, several people got up and walked deep into the deserted village. This scene still did not attract anyone's attention. Wei Hong, who was lying on the ground pretending to be seriously injured, frowned and couldn't help but take a breath of cold air, because he felt a chill approaching again, which was a unique feeling when the weird appeared. In the past, he could easily lock the heartbeat within dozens of feet. But the footsteps of the few people who just walked out were getting farther and farther away. After a while, Wei Hong not only couldn't hear their heartbeats, but even the footsteps had disappeared without a trace, as if they had disappeared out of thin air. Unfortunately, the fog was too heavy and the night was dark. Everyone was drowsy and didn't notice this at all. Something's going to happen. Wei Hong's heart sank suddenly. But now he was pretending to be a seriously injured person in Prince Duan's mansion, so it was difficult to react. Otherwise, he would definitely pretend to pee and walk towards the entrance of the deserted village to see if he could take the opportunity to quickly leave here and avoid a direct incident with a weird. After all, this is a weird monster that is difficult to guess with common sense. No one knows what methods they have. If you run into a fierce one, I'm afraid everyone present will be unlucky. Don't panic, it's always safer to be in a crowded place. I'm a wounded soldier now, even if the sky falls, there are tall people to hold it up. Yuan Xianhua, who is in the refining organ realm, must have noticed something was wrong a long time ago, so I don't need to worry too much. Wei Hong was relieved when he figured this out. He continued to restrain his breath and maintain the disguise of a seriously injured soldier. However, he was thinking about what means he could use to deal with the strangeness once it appeared. In the end, there were only 3 options. First, the fragment of the Kingxin mantra, whose innate skill, hard as still water, can make him immune to the strangeness of bewitching by plus 50%, at least it can prevent him from being controlled silently like the unlucky guys just now. Second, the fragment of the purple yang concentrating spirit talisman, it should be able to cause damage to the strange monsters, but unfortunately there is nothing to cast it, and no materials that can carry its runes have been found. Third, the thunder sound lion roaring skill. This secret realm found in the Sutra Pavilion of Prince Duan's mansion is extremely yang and strong, and it can specifically know the strange monsters, which should be able to play a significant role. Add points, add them quickly. Wei Hong immediately remembered that the Thunder Sound Lion Roar technique had only been upgraded to the Great Perfection stage. It was just in time that he killed Lu Qingqing and the others and harvested another batch of vitality. Therefore, he decisively added points again, from Great Perfection to Perfection and then to the limit. After a series of 38,000 vitality points, Wei Hong's tens of thousands of vitality reserves were exhausted, but the effect was also immediate. The Thunder Sound Lion Roar technique has reached the limit stage, awakening the innate skill Thunder Sound Body Tempering. Right square bracket. Chapter 130, Thunder Sound Tempers the Body, Strange Domain Field. Thunder Sound Body Tempering, temper bones with thunderous lion roars to achieve the effect of cleansing the essence and marrow, strengthening the essence of the body, and increasing the lethality to strange creatures by 300%. Wei Hong looked at this new talent skill. He couldn't help but be overjoyed. It was really a pillow scent when he was sleepy. After he pushed the Thunder Sound Lion Roar skill to the limit, he not only increased the lethality to strange monsters, but also gained an auxiliary skill to temper bones. How wonderful! You know that bones are deeply covered by flesh and blood. It is very difficult for warriors to temper bones. Wei Hong has now reached the late stage of blood refining. It is possible to sprint to the bone refining realm within 3 to 5 months. At this time, it is absolutely beneficial for him to get in touch with 1 or 2 to lay a good foundation. This Thunder Sound Body Tempering is somewhat similar to the Tiger Roar, the innate skill of the 13 Tiger Walks. Both are produced through the throat, with special sound waves washing the whole body to achieve the effect of tempering the body. But the Thunder Sound Body Tempering is obviously more advanced and more exquisite than the Tiger Roar. It seems that the bone refining realm is not far away. Thinking of this, Wei Hong couldn't help but chuckle. Other warriors dare not temper their bones before they reach the bone refining realm. But he has this special talent, and he can try to temper his bones before he reaches the bone refining realm. Laying a solid foundation early will definitely be of great benefit to breaking through the realm. In this way, he is quite relaxed. At least he can have more self-protection ability when encountering strange monsters. In the silent night, more and more people disappeared. One by one, warriors stood up with wooden expressions and disappeared in the mist. This strange phenomenon finally made someone realize that something was wrong. Damn, what's going on? Why are they all going to the toilet? No, something happened, they must have had an accident. Quick, quick, get up, don't sleep anymore, someone is missing. Everyone was awakened by the noise. They looked around in doubt, and after counting the number of people, they couldn't help but take a breath, because 16 people disappeared without knowing it. The fog around them became thicker. In the dark night, the deserted village became dead silent, and even the sound of wild animals and insects was silent. In such a situation, even a fool could notice that something was wrong. Naturally, everyone's face changed drastically, and they gathered together in a hurry, looking into the fog vigilantly. Yuan Xianhua, who had been resting with his eyes closed, finally opened his eyes. He was not panicked at all, but indifferent and solemn. Rustle. The sound of swaying trees came with bursts of weird laughter, and everyone's heart was panicked for no reason, and everyone had some fine cold sweat on their foreheads. It's so cold, have we encountered a strange monster? Damn, no wonder it's so weird. I shouldn't have camped in a deserted village. Stop talking nonsense, think about what to do. Tentacle, there are tentacles. Amidst a burst of discussion, many people suddenly exclaimed, because they clearly saw tentacles similar to giant pythons dancing in the fog. And there were their figures everywhere, which seemed particularly terrifying and horrifying. Get on the horse. Yuan Xianhua's face changed drastically, and he growled, take the materials of the iron wing green scale python, let's rush out. Everyone gather together, the warriors can disperse the strange monster's domain field with vigorous blood, hurry. Domain field. Wei Hong immediately thought of the records in the strange talk. According to the experience summarized by the Evil Suppression Division, most of the strange monsters in the world can only affect ordinary people, but once a strange monster can condense a domain field, it can cover a large area as its own hunting area. Anyone in the domain field. Anyone will feel like encountering a ghost wall. No matter how hard they tried, they could not find the specific direction to leave. In the end, they would either die of exhaustion from being sucked of their essence and blood by the monster, or become its puppet and completely lose their humanity. Although it is still unknown what this monster is. However, since the opponent's domain field can cover a village, it must be no simple thing, otherwise it would not dare to attack in the face of so many powerful martial artists. Yuan Xianhua's suggestion to rush out in a crowd at this time was naturally the most correct. After all, when the blood and ki are gathered together, it will crush the monster like a furnace, which is enough to make the monster afraid and find a glimmer of hope, but if they are alone, they will die. At once, everyone rushed over to lead the horses. More than a dozen seriously injured guards of the palace also struggled to get up. My lord, what about them? A guard said reluctantly. Yuan Xianhua's eyes turned cold and he was about to order them to be abandoned, but when he saw the hopeful eyes of other guards of the palace, he immediately held back his words. Most of these guards were adopted and trained by the palace since childhood. They have lived together since childhood and have a deep friendship with each other. Abandoning the wounded at this time is equivalent to abandoning his comrades on the battlefield. He dared to do this. After returning, Prince Duan's mansion might not punish him, but from then on, he would definitely face many obstacles when he wanted to mobilize the guards to do things. Take them away. Yuan Xianhu took a deep breath and gritted his teeth and said, tie them to the horses and take them out. There is no carriage now, so we can only make do with it. Brothers, hold on. Yes. The guards breathed a sigh of relief. They quickly carried the wounded one by one onto the horses and began to tie them up. Wei Hong was also carried by two guards to get on the horse. At this time, the scale-armored horse Ziohai seemed to recognize him for some reason, and took the initiative to take 2 steps forward and carried him on his back. There was chaos all around at night. But no one noticed this little episode. A bearded guard tied Wei Hong up and promised solemnly, don't worry, Tisu, I will take you back even if I die. Hold on, don't be shaken to death by the warhorse. Wei Hong pretended to be weak and nodded, and said nothing more. But an inexplicable thought came to his mind, should he continue to play the role? In the past, he had made up fake identities by himself. Now that he could no longer use the identity of Gu Hang of Wu Fen, if he could obtain the identity of a royal guard, wouldn't it be more convenient? As the saying goes, small seclusion is in the wild, and great seclusion is in the city. It seems not bad to hide in a big force. At least the sutra library of Prince Duan's mansion is very coveted by him. At that time, the level, vision, information, and intelligence that can be accessed will be different, which is really exciting. Let's see and talk, pretend to be a seriously injured person for a while. Wei Hong muttered in his heart, if it's appropriate, I'll put in a new identity to mix it up. It's good to get some benefits. If it doesn't work, I'll go back to the butcher shop for a while. This time I have offended Prince Duan's mansion so much, and I will definitely be chased and retaliated wildly afterwards. It's good to hide in the palace and play a little under the lamp. While thinking, everyone was ready. Nearly 100 people rushed towards the village entrance. Gee. Damn it, hurry up. Everyone roared in panic. They rode their horses in a mess, scrambling to gallop forward. Please vote and read on. Chapter 131 Breaking the Strange Territory, the power of the Thunder Lion roar is revealed. At night, in the fog of the deserted village, the sound of hundreds of horses galloping dispelled the dead silence and coldness around. However, just when everyone thought they would be able to escape soon, they were shocked to find that the front was not the exit of the deserted village at all. No matter how they rode their horses, there were still various abandoned and deserted village houses in front of them, plus the muddy road that was filled with fog and could not see the end. What is going on? Why is Li Zhi gone? He was just beside me. Damn, Lame Liu is gone too. There were constant exclamations in the crowd. Obviously, no one expected that things would be so terrible. They are all powerful martial artists who can detect any movement within 100 feet. How could they not notice that someone disappeared quietly? Waves of panic and despair spread among the crowd. Several people with worse temperaments almost had emotional collapse. Seeing this, Yuan Xianhu shouted coldly, "What are you afraid of? Everyone, encourage your blood and ki for me, keep rushing forward, and work harder if you don't want to die." After saying that, he encouraged his blood and ki first. Boom boom boom. The blood in Yuan Xianhu's body flowed like a great river. The majestic and domineering aura quickly dispelled the fear in everyone's heart. Damn, what are you afraid of? Charge out. Everyone gritted their teeth and prepared to charge again. But suddenly bursts of strange laughter came from the fog. They sounded like the laughter of children and the shrill voice of women, with a mysterious power that made people psychedelic, and instantly made everyone's eyes blurred. The heart is as clear as water, the water is the heart, the breeze is not rising, and the waves are not startled. Sitting alone in the secluded bamboo, whistling and playing the zither, entering into a state of meditation, Wei Hong began to recite the heart purification mantra in his heart. The extreme level of the heart purification mantra fragment is very powerful. In an instant, all the distracting thoughts in his heart disappeared without a trace, and his head became clear and cold. The waves of strange sound seemed to be isolated from the outside, and he could not shake his mind. As for the others, they were unlucky. One martial artist after another had a foolish look on their face, a grim smile on their face, or a furious roar. Some even drew their swords without hesitation and slashed at their side. For a moment, the whole team was in chaos, and many people were killed by their companions before they could react. Gradually, the fog enveloped them again. The team of more than 100 people was inexplicably divided and dispersed. Wei Hong suddenly found that there was no trace of other people around him. What a difficult monster. Where's Yuan Xianhu? Isn't he in the refining Zhang realm? Waste, you can't even protect this little guy. After Wei Hong cursed inwardly a few times, his mind gradually tensed up. He began to slowly accumulate power in his throat, ready to burst out the thunder sound lion roar skill at any time. He didn't know what was going on in the outside world, nor what happened to other people. He could only try his best to ensure his own safety, and whether or not to expose his identity was secondary. After a while, a chill came over. Wei Hong was tied to the horse's back and couldn't move, but the scale-armored horse Ziohai dodged to the side and instantly avoided a cold knife light. Huh? Wei Hong was not surprised by Ziohei's cleverness. He was just surprised to see the enemy who attacked him. This was a martial artist from the Sandmen. His face was thin and his cheekbones were prominent. His eyes had turned blood red, but his expression was very dull, as if he had completely lost his mind. He rushed towards him again with a knife. Get lost! Wei Hong roared. The power gathered in his throat turned into rolling sound waves and exploded. The middle-aged martial artist's body was instantly blown several feet away by the invisible huge force. At the same time, he fell to the ground and twitched wildly and began to bleed from all 7 orifices. This roar not only shattered his internal organs, eardrums, and brain, but also destroyed the mysterious power that controlled him in an instant, and even the fog around him was emptied. The middle-aged martial artist finally regained a moment of clarity. He vomited blood in large mouthfuls, and finally his head tilted and he died completely. Hiss. Wei Hong was secretly surprised, so fierce. You know, this is his first time trying the thunder sound lion roar skill. Unexpectedly, he roared to death a blood-refining realm martial artist, and the strange monster in his body was completely wiped out, because he saw 2 prompt messages appear in the system. Ling. Vitality plus 879, Ling. Congratulations on killing the weak strange monster, Vitality plus 1274, it's really a strange monster. Wei Hong took a deep breath and became alert again. It's impossible for a weak strange monster to make such a big scene. The real big fish is still behind, and I don't know if the others are still alive. The fog blocked all sounds and movements, and the surroundings were still quiet. From time to time, strange laughter suddenly sounded, as if they were hiding behind you and spying. However, Wei Hong was not frightened by this. He was just thinking about whether he should break out immediately. If he relied on the lion roar technique all the way, he should be able to kill it, as long as he didn't encounter a powerful strange monster. But in this way, he would definitely expose his identity. Yuan Xianhua, a master of the refining organ realm, has not made a move. Who knows if he has a trump card to deal with the strange monster? What if he happened to discover that Wei Hong's identity was exposed? Wouldn't he be caught in a trap in anger? But if he didn't break out now, once the strange monsters killed the others, they would definitely besiege him. By then, with his strength in the blood refining realm, even with a thunder sound lion roar, it would be difficult to break out of the siege, right? At least he didn't have any confidence at all. Escape or not, this is a fatal decision. Wait for another cup of tea, and escape immediately when the time is up. Don't panic, Xiaohei, stay calm. Wei Hong whispered to comfort Xiaohei. At the same time, he silently calculated the time and was careful to be alert to attacks around him. He found that the strange monsters were not that scary. The reason why they made the world shudder was because they were elusive and unpredictable. Once he could keep his mind from being bewitched. There was also a very young and very strong martial art to restrain the opponent. In his eyes, the strange monsters were nothing but a group of vulnerable nothingness. So Wei Hong made up his mind to wait a little longer. If the situation was really irreversible, he would naturally escape, at least giving himself more choices. Time passed by minute. Just when Wei Hong made up his mind to make a decision, a rumbling sound of horse hooves broke through the fog and reached his ears. The sound of horse hooves was like thousands of troops galloping, the ground was shaking, the earthen houses in the deserted village were collapsing, and the terrifying murderous intent was overwhelming. What is this? The army. Wei Hong took a breath and immediately made an accurate judgment. There must be an army passing by the edge of the deserted village, and it is very likely that they have already killed their way into the deserted village. This terrifying impact of ki and blood is simply like a tidal wave. So much so that the fog in the deserted village was retreating frantically. The weird laughter around was also disappearing quickly. When the surroundings became clear again, Wei Hong saw corpses all over the ground, as well as broken limbs and arms all over the ground. There was also a bloodthirsty cavalry corps, like a killing god, at the entrance of the village. Please vote for the monthly ticket, please recommend the ticket, and please read it later. Chapter 132: A Dream of a Cavalry General. The strange monster retreated. Everything seemed like a dream. The surviving martial artists gasped for breath. Looking at the Iron Cavalry Corps at the entrance of the village, they couldn't help but feel a little relieved. I am Yuan Xianhua from Prince Duan's mansion. Thank you for saving my life. Which army are you from? Yuan Xianhua looked a little embarrassed at this moment. His gorgeous clothes were soaked, and his face was extremely pale. I don't know what kind of danger he had just experienced in the fog. The corpses and broken limbs on the ground proved that nearly 100 of them had just fought in the open space not far from the entrance of the village. In less than a cup of tea, nearly 30 people had died. Everyone who survived was shocked. Duan Wangfu? Interesting. At this time, a general in full armor rode out of the army. He looked around coldly and said, "Since you are from Duan Wangfu, why did you come to Kangzhou to hang out? What is your purpose?" "Hunting beasts and taking medicine to treat the nobleman," Yuan Xianhua said without leaking a single word. Unfortunately, the mission failed. On the way back, we camped in a deserted village and were attacked by strange monsters. Fortunately, we were rescued by the general. We are very grateful. After speaking, Yuan Xianhua showed the token of Duan Wangfu. At the same time, he changed the subject and asked back, "Look at your military appearance and armor. Are you under the command of General Meng of the rebellion army?" "Yes." The hostility in the general's eyes eased a little. "I am the cavalry general under General Meng. Since you are from Duan Wangfu, you should withdraw as soon as possible. This place is too close to the main battlefield and it is easy to cause misunderstandings." "Yes, we will withdraw to the capital when the weather gets cold and never barge in." Yuan Xianhua thanked him again politely. The other party then rode back to the army. He waved his hand and continued on his way with a cavalry corps. "Luckily we met the army, otherwise we would be in big trouble. I don't know what kind of monster it is, it's so scary. So many people died just now and no one knows how they died. It's too scary. Let's evacuate first." "Yes, if we don't leave, the monster will come again, and then there will be no army to save us again." Everyone started to discuss in fear. They didn't even have the mood to collect the bodies of their companions, they just wanted to escape from here as soon as possible. Yuan Xianhu scolded with a cold face, "Why are you panicking? Even if there was no army formation to rescue me just now, I still had a way to break the strange monster field. Aren't you still alive? You are traveling all night, do you want to let the wounded die? Don't worry, since the strange monster has retreated, it will not come back again. We are all safe tonight. Count the people immediately, bandage the wounded and rest. We will set off again after dawn." Yes. Everyone dared not say anything more and had to agree in a sullen manner. But where are the wounded on the ground? Most of the bodies lying in the pool of blood have either been sucked out of their blood or cut into pieces. The death is simply too miserable. There are only 3 seriously injured people tied to the horseback in the Prince Duan's mansion. Damn it. Yuan Xianhu saw this scene and cursed again. This outing was really a heavy loss. There was the iron-winged green-scaled python wreaking havoc in front, and Gu Heng of Wufang was secretly making trouble in the back. Now there are strange monsters rampant. It's really bad luck. He didn't know how to explain it when he got back. 3 days later in a farm outside the capital of God, Wei Hong was lying on a recliner, drinking a little wine and enjoying the busy farmer's rural scenery. He was very comfortable. Since he returned to the capital of God 2 days ago, he had made a decision to get a new identity. Taking the opportunity of returning to Prince Duan's mansion with a serious injury, Wei Hong quickly figured out the identity of his imposter. This was Li Tizhu, a personal guard trained by the palace since childhood. He was 32 years old, had no parents and was single. He was honest, simple and taciturn. This identity was simply too perfect. Wei Hong easily disguised himself as Li Tizhu without any effort. Then, under the pretext of being seriously injured, he was placed in the manor by the palace to recuperate. Not only did he not need to perform any dangerous tasks, he also did not need to patrol the palace hard. He only needed to recuperate here in the name of a meritorious official, and all kinds of benefits would not be lacking. It's great. Wei Hong exclaimed with great joy. He had found himself a good position by taking over someone else's nest. As long as he pretended to be injured and unable to recover, he could be kept by the palace on the farm for free. Not only would he be well fed and well drinked, but he would also be able to enjoy the treatment of the palace's personal guards entering and leaving the sutra library 3 times a month. It was a wonderful thought. "I'm sorry, Li Tizhu, I'll lend you my identity. I'll definitely burn some paper money for you someday." Wei Hong poured a glass of water and wine on the ground, which was also a tribute to the corpse he had thrown into the mud. "Tizhu, why are you here? Why don't you go lie down?" At this time, a stubble-faced strong man came over with a jar of wine and food. Wei Hong recognized his identity at a glance. He was Lei Peng, Li Tizhu's good friend, and he was also a loyal and honest man. The two had a good relationship because of their similar personalities. "I'm tired after lying down for so long." Wei Hong smiled innocently and asked, "Brother Lei, how come you have time to come here?" "I came to see you." Lei Peng smashed the wine and food on the table with a frustrated look on his face, and said angrily, "It's really frustrating. I didn't get any benefits from this mission, and I was severely scolded by the superiors. Steward Juan also took it out on us. The brothers have been really frustrated these days." Haha. Wei Hong didn't dare to say much, just listened to his complaints. From time to time, he poured him a few glasses of wine, and showed a touch of loneliness and unwillingness at the right time. He immediately portrayed the image of a seriously injured martial artist vividly. "Let's not talk about these annoying things." Lei Peng saw this and said distressedly, "Brother, you have suffered a great loss this time. I don't know how long you will have to recover from your hidden injuries. Fortunately, you have survived. Take a rest during this period of time and don't think about other things. Don't worry, Brother Lei." Wei Hong pretended to be free and easy and smiled. "It is our duty to be loyal to the palace. Compared with other brothers who can't come back, what is my case?" Lei Peng was silent again after hearing this. He drank 2 mouthfuls of wine with a sad look on his face, and then said, "Damn it, the palace gave a lot of compensation this time. The dead brothers have been resettled one after another. You are seriously injured and have a compensation of 3,000 taels, plus a chance to enter the 2nd floor of the Sutra Pavilion. You can go and claim the reward yourself when you have time." "Oh." Wei Hong's eyes suddenly lit up. "You kid." Lei Peng said unhappily, You are already in the late stage of blood refining realm, and you dream of breaking through to bone refining realm all day long. I know you must want to exchange for bone refining realm secrets when you go to the second floor of Sutra Repository, but I advise you to be realistic. Your internal organs are injured and you must change to Healing Secret Book. Otherwise, with your foundation damaged, you will never be able to break through to bone refining realm in this lifetime. Do you want to stay in the manor for the rest of your life? Wei Hong looked around at the mountains, rivers and farmlands, and finally sighed, what's wrong with staying in the manor? At least there is no fighting. Chapter 133, Life is Worse Than Death, The Magic of Dried Bones. Another half-month has passed in a flash. Wei Hong recuperates at the Wangfu farm during the day. At night, he goes back to the butcher shop to kill pigs to make a living. He can manage both. Now the butcher shop is on the right track. During the time he went to Kangzhou, Li Dengyu and Luan Zhaoqi supported it. Even if he didn't go to the shop for a while, nothing would happen. Therefore, he was more happy to be idle, drinking and tasting tea leisurely in the farm every day. The Wangfu farm is equipped with a manager, dozens of servants, and hundreds of tenants. It controls thousands of acres of fertile land around it. Occasionally, relatives of the Wangfu come to rest and stay. Wei Hong is not conspicuous among them. After all, there are many people who are recuperating here with him. In early August, when the iron wing green scale python incident was finally settled and everything was calm, he finally prepared to go to the Wangfu Sutra Pavilion again. Now Wei Hong's strength is increasing day by day. It's not far from the perfection of the blood refining realm, and he must consider the breakthrough. If it weren't for Li Tizhu's fake identity, he might still have a headache, thinking about where to find a breakthrough in the bone refining realm, but now someone has brought him a pillow when he's sleepy. The Prince Duan's mansion rewarded him with one entry to the second floor of the Sutra Library. In addition, as a guard of the palace, he has the opportunity to enter the first floor of the Sutra Library 3 times a month. If Wei Hong doesn't take the opportunity to find a suitable bone refining realm technique, he will be really stupid. Early in the morning, Wei Hong was wearing a green tights, with a token of the Prince Duan's mansion's personal guard hanging around his waist, and he walked in from the side door of the palace. The patrolling personal guards who met along the way all nodded warmly. Wei Hong smiled and responded, and no one doubted his identity. He first went to the account office to collect the reward money and monthly allowance, a total of 3,300 taels. Among them, 3,000 taels were for injury compensation and 300 taels were for monthly allowance. The treatment of the Prince Duan's mansion to the personal guards was really terrible, worthy of being a wealthy master. Then he went straight to the Sutra Library. But before he reached the Sutra Library, he heard a wailing sound coming from the side yard. He saw a middle-aged man in brocade clothes being pressed to the ground and beaten hard with a stick. Hit him hard. You dare not do things for your master quickly, this is the result of being cunning and sly. Yuan Xianhua's angry voice came, accompanied by waves of wailing and begging for mercy. Wei Hong glanced at them and kept walking, but he already understood what happened. This is the only bone refining realm expert left in the Lu family. He is also Lu Shenghong's younger brother and Lu Qingqing's uncle. Since the last time the two died suddenly, Yuan Xianhua has been angry about the failure of the mission and resented the Lu family. After returning to the mansion, he tried every way to torture them every day. If a slave family like the Lu family is in power, it will naturally be majestic. But if they are suppressed by others, they will be embarrassed and there will be no possibility of a fish and net. After all, they are slaves sold to the Prince Duan's mansion. Even if they are beaten to death, no one dares to ask, so the Lu family's life every day can be said to be worse than death. Haha, you deserve it. Wei Hong sneered and finally put the grudge behind him. The conflict caused by the greed of the Lu family finally paid the price, and he was too lazy to continue biting the other party, so he just wished for the best. The Sutra Library was sparsely populated. Only a few guards of the royal palace who were on leave were reading books on the first floor. After Wei Hong handed the token to the steward of the Sutra Library, he decisively used his opportunity to go to the second floor. Go up, you only have 1 hour. The middle-aged steward recorded the information of the token and said without raising his head, you are also an old man in the royal palace. You should know some rules. Go by yourself. Thank you, steward. Wei Hong pretended to thank him and went straight to the second floor. In fact, there are masters secretly protecting inside and outside the Sutra Library. He didn't dare to do anything recklessly, so the middle-aged steward was very relieved to let him go up alone. The second floor has more than half the bookshelves than the first floor. As usual, dozens of bookshelves are filled with various classics. From bone refining realm techniques, secret techniques, martial arts, to various practice notes, anecdotes, and various rare herbal atlases, beast atlases, medical and poison books, etc., there is almost everything. Unfortunately, he only has 1 hour. Wei Hong didn't waste his time on other things. He knew that his main purpose this time was only one: bone refining realm techniques. Only by obtaining superior bone refining realm techniques can he break through to the bone refining realm in a few months. Otherwise, if he missed this opportunity, he really didn't have the confidence to obtain good techniques in the outside world. This 1-level upper grade ice muscle jade bone art is suitable for women and yin people. It has a fast practice speed and good power. It needs to be supplemented with jade bone pills to practice. The lower grade tiger bone tempering technique of the earth level comes from the Shuzhou Tiger Roar sect. It has a medium practice speed and amazing power. It has a set of matching steps. The middle grade turning wave iron bone technique comes from the Jingtao sect, a martial arts sect 100 years ago. One secret book after another came into view. Wei Hong looked at it patiently, and soon he was dazzled. There are too many collections in the sutra library of Prince Duan's mansion. Many of them were confiscated after the martial arts sects were destroyed. Therefore, the mysterious and earth-level skills that are hard to find in the outside world can be seen almost everywhere here. As for the heaven-level skills, there must be some. But they are naturally not placed casually in the sutra library. It is estimated that they are all carefully treasured in the secret treasure house of the palace. However, the earth-level secrets are rare in the world. Wei Hong did not dare to despise them. After all, these random skills were once the inheritance of a certain major sect. If it were not in Prince Duan's mansion, he would never find such a good thing. What should I choose? My advantage is that I have a strong foundation, great strength, and vigorous blood. I must choose a skill that can bring out my advantages. Wei Hong thought about this clearly and had a rough direction of selection. It doesn't matter whether the practice is difficult or not, and it doesn't matter whether it is dangerous or not. The key is that it must be fierce, and domineering enough. There are many books that meet this condition. After Wei Hong picked and chose, he finally took a fancy to an extremely vicious method: Dead Bones Magic. This is a local grade magic method. Its practice method runs counter to the orthodox martial arts. The practice mode is cruel and vicious. Every practice will damage the lifespan. It has the advantages of rapid progress and terrifying power. The classics record that this method is harmful to the heaven and reduces the lifespan. Only the crazy people of the magic sect, who are eager for quick success, will practice this method. Orthodox warriors should choose it carefully. Good guy, ordinary warriors all use medicinal baths, bodybuilding, warm tonic, and other methods to slowly increase the strength of the whole body's bones, in order to achieve the purpose of bone metamorphosis. This dead bone magic method is actually the opposite. It uses the mode of extracting essence in blood to make the bones damaged and brittle, and then injects essence in blood to repair the bones, so as to repeatedly toss and turn the bones to metamorphosis. No wonder it is named like this. It deserves the name of dead bones. Wei Hong murmured in surprise. Chapter 134. Hey, you are really a genius. Wei Hong has always been a person who doesn't like to take the ordinary path. If he is still timid with a golden finger in his hand, wouldn't it be a waste of his opportunity? Therefore, after seeing the withered bone magic skill, he quickly made up his mind. This skill is both cruel and powerful, and is also well known in the magic sect. It can fully exert his strength. Losing life? He doesn't care. Anyway, the vitality points can be easily replenished. In theory, Wei Hong's lifespan is endless. Moreover, the withered bone magic skill has the advantage of restraining the fluctuation of qi and blood, making it difficult for people to see the details. In addition, there are 3 matching big moves, which are terrifying once they are used. Wei Hong naturally likes it more and more. He turned around and left the second floor without hesitation, and found the middle-aged manager of the Sutra Pavilion again. Manager Wu. Wei Hong bowed and said, I want to choose a withered bone magic skill. Please register for me to pick up the book. What did you say? The middle-aged manager raised his voice, his face full of disbelief. Wei Hong smiled and repeated it again, and the other party looked like he had seen a ghost and said, Are you crazy? Do you know that every time a person who practices the dead bone magic art breaks through, he will lose 20 to 30 years of life? Do you have the life to live to the peak of the bone refining realm? Haha. Wei Hong had already thought of an excuse, and said with a wry smile, Manager Wu, you don't know, I was injured in my lungs during the last mission, and I'm afraid my potential has been exhausted in this life. I am very lucky to be able to enter the bone refining realm. So I chose a powerful magic art, even if I stay in the early stage of the bone refining realm. Hey, you are really a genius. The middle-aged manager couldn't help but give a thumbs up. I have to admit that his excuse is really perfect, and people can't find any fault with it. That's right, as long as you break through to the early stage of the bone refining realm, you won't break through any higher. So what does losing life have to do with him? Interesting, you have a brain. You know yourself well, which means you have good eyesight. The middle-aged steward said cheerfully, okay. I'll have someone get you a handwritten copy right away. Thank you, Steward Wu. Wei Hong continued, I heard that our sutra library has bird taming skills. I want to change to another skill and raise birds for fun when I'm free. Okay. The middle-aged steward didn't say much, and waved his hand to let the servant get the handwritten copy. Bird taming skills are a collection of books on the first floor of the sutra library. They are not even secret books, but just some experience notes summarized by predecessors. With his current status, he can naturally use them. But no matter whether it is bird taming skills or dead bones magic skills, they cannot be taken out, and can only be memorized here. After Wei Hong took the two thin booklets sent by the servant, he sat aside and pretended to recite them. In fact, the system had already recorded them word for word on the panel. Dead Bones Magic Skill, Proficiency. 1/3000, Bird Taming Skill, Proficiency, Entry Level, 1/100, so many. Wei Hong couldn't help but reveal a hint of surprise. Bird Taming Skill is obviously just an ordinary skill, so it only takes 100 proficiency points to get started. However, as a skill in the bone refining realm, the Dead Bones Magic Skill requires 3000 proficiency points to get started, which is 30 times that of ordinary skills. This also means that you need to max out at least 100,000 vitality points. Now I earn 700 to 800 vitality points by killing pigs and sheep every day, which is only more than 20,000 a month. Wouldn't it take half a year to save up? Tisk, 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 if I could kill another batch of heads. Wei Hong couldn't help but sigh silently. It's not that he is bloodthirsty and cruel, but few people can bear the pleasure of cutting off heads to earn vitality. One knife is more profitable than killing 10 pigs. As his strength increases, Wei Hong's demand for vitality is also skyrocketing. Even if he slaughters dozens of pigs and sheep every day, it is still difficult to satisfy his appetite, so he can't help but miss the feeling of working hard to chop heads and brush vitality last time. Unfortunately, heads are not available every day. Let's wait and see. Anyway, I haven't reached the peak of the blood refining realm yet, so I'm not in a hurry to add points. Wei Hong sighed, and turned around and smashed 4,800 vitality points to brush the bird training to the limit. Ling. Congratulations on reaching the limit of bird training, awakening the talent skill, bird language. You can roughly communicate with birds, and the closeness when taming bird creatures plus 300%. Oh. Wei Hong's eyes lit up. The knowledge of taming birds in his mind began to merge, comprehend, and penetrate. This bird training is indeed very superficial. It is some experience summed up by some hunters when taming hawks and falcons. Through taming hawks and hawks, it gradually evolved to taming other birds, and then through training them to develop some simple habits, so as to achieve the functions of tracking, stalking, and early warning. This kind of unconventional craft is generally not studied by many people. Therefore, the little bird in Lu Kingking's hand may seem ordinary, but it was bought at a high price, and it is very troublesome to tame. Wei Hong is different. He has the innate skill of bird language. He has also mastered the bird training technique. It is always more effective to communicate with birds and tame them. It is definitely not wrong to get a few little birds to act as eyes. It is very beneficial to brush more of these ordinary skills. Mastering one more extreme skill will give you more foundation, and you can always get unexpected results at critical moments. Wei Hong sighed while thinking about what kind of bird to tame. Wangfu's Huangzi is full of farmland in the suburbs and is close to the mountains. It is very easy to get birds. There are so many varieties that he can choose at will. But not all birds are suitable for taming. The book records that it is best to choose smart, not too bright colors, and speed specialties. Hawks and falcons are the best, followed by birds. The most taboo is to choose slow flying speed and bright colors. This kind of bird is tamed and used as a pet, which is not very useful at all. Wei Hong thought it made sense. He thought about it and decided to try to tame a very smart, fast, small, and easy to hide bird. If he succeeded, he would train a group of birds and ensure that there were birds around him anytime and anywhere. No one could easily get close to him or escape his pursuit. Just think about it, this kind of bird is definitely very useful. After pretending to dawdle in the sutra library for an hour, Wei Hong returned the 2 booklets and went straight to the farm outside the city after leaving the palace. After returning to the farm, Wei Hong immediately found the farm manager. Manager Liu, please help me find a few tenant farmers with quick hands and feet. Master Li Wu, why do you want to find tenant farmers? Don't you want to plant some flowers and plants in the yard? The farm manager is a chubby middle-aged man. He is kind and versatile, and he smiles at everyone. Wei Hong did not hide anything and said directly, I want to raise some birds for fun recently. Find a few skilled people to help me dig out a few nests of baby birds. I will give you 2 taels of silver for each nest. So much? Manager Liu was surprised. Hey, if this good news gets out, these filthy guys will be so happy, right? I'll call someone for you right away. Chapter 135 Skylark Greenbird, Money Makes the World Go Round. As the saying goes, a big reward will bring out brave men. Wei Hong offered a sky-high reward of 2 taels of silver for a nest of baby birds, which naturally caused a sensation among the tenant farmers in the farm. In a short while, dozens of men gathered around. Master Li Wu, I heard from Manager Liu that you want to take bird eggs? And pay for it. No, what bird eggs? Master Li Wu wants baby birds. Hey, if you want to catch birds for fun, come to me. I have been climbing trees in the mountains since I was a child, and taking bird nests is like playing. Everyone was excited and talked at once. Stop. Wei Hong raised his hand and said, I really want to find a batch of baby birds to train. Who of you knows which bird in the mountains is small, fast, and smart enough? This. Everyone pondered. Wei Hong took out a few ingots of silver and said, who wants to say it? I. A teenager of 16 or 17 years old said excitedly, Master Li, I know that the skylark is very fast, and the eagle can't catch up with it even if it accelerates in a short time. Yes, the skylark is. And the red-feathered sparrow is also. You know nothing, the blue sparrow is the fastest. Everyone rushed to answer. Wei Hong generously rewarded several ingots of silver. The first few people who gave the answer were all ecstatic, while the others were full of envy and jealousy, slapping themselves in the face repeatedly, blaming themselves for being slow. Don't worry. Wei Hong continued, now I want 2 young birds, the skylark and the blue sparrow, and don't want other ones. Whoever has the ability to dig out a nest, I will give 2 taels, no. 2 taels for one, only today, did you hear it? Oh my god, so many. Fuck, I'll go into the mountains right away. Yes, go into the mountains now, not to mention the skylark, even the eagle can be found. Everyone patted their chests and promised. Wei Hong's generous move just now completely dispelled everyone's doubts. At this moment, they all wanted to go into the mountains to make a fortune. For him, 2 taels of silver was nothing. But for these poor tenant farmers, 2 taels of silver was a huge income that they could not save in a year. It was not easy for them to fill their stomachs and feed their families on weekdays. How could they make so much money at once? The opportunity was in front of them. If they were lucky enough to go into the mountains, they could feed their families and keep them warm. Such a lucky opportunity would never come across in a lifetime. If they didn't work hard, they would be sorry for their hungry families and their hungry and cold children. So, a lot of tenant farmers started to go into the mountains with their families. They were all civilians from the villages near the capital of the gods. They were more familiar with the terrain than anyone else. Although they did not dare to go deep into the forests with ferocious beasts, they could find many young birds just around the forests. If Wei Hong only wanted skylarks and bluebirds, and only today, I'm afraid the tenant farmers could get as many birds as he wanted. After half a day, good news came one after another. Nests of young birds were really delivered to Wei Hong, waiting for him to choose at will, and all he paid was some yellow and white things. Skylarks are a kind of gray sparrows. Greenbirds are a species with green feathers all over their bodies. Both are only the size of teacups when they grow up, belonging to the type of very miniature birds. They usually only eat grass seeds, larvae, rice grains, grass roots and other sundries. They are very easy to raise and their lifespan is generally about 3 to 5 years. Among them, skylarks are good at speed. It can fly into the clouds and dive into the water. Even hawks and falcons find it difficult to hunt it. Green birds are good at hiding. Their feathers are the most inconspicuous in the grass and treetops, and they can also slightly change the color of their feathers according to the surrounding environment, just like a chameleon. Wonderful. The more Wei Hong looked at these young birds, the more delighted he was. Skylarks are trained to track enemies. They are both stealthy and alert. They are probably more useful than hawks and falcons. The only disadvantage is that they cannot travel long distances like hawks and falcons. Bluebirds are used to send out warnings or to follow the enemy. Once they hide somewhere, it is difficult for the enemy to find them. The combination of the two can be said to be perfect and complement each other. Moreover, sparrows grow very fast. Generally, they can fly 15 to 21 days after hatching. It is too easy to tame them at that time. In other words, Wei Hong can completely tame a large number of skylarks and bluebirds in batches. Although it is of no help to improve his own military strength, it is still very powerful to use as an auxiliary, and it can even quietly poison the enemy. Not bad. Wei Hong smiled with satisfaction, but he was troubled by the chirping and crying young birds on the ground. He didn't have the energy to catch insects and feed them himself. You, and you. Wei Hong raised his hand and pointed at the boys and girls in the crowd, and said directly, "Are you interested in helping me feed the birds?" Feed the birds. The boys and girls looked at each other, and then looked at their parents. Fools, Master Li Wu gave you a bite of food, why don't you thank him quickly? A rough man slapped his son on the head. Seeing this, Wei Hong smiled and said, "Don't worry, 2 taels of silver per person per month, do you want to do it?" Yes, we will do it. Master Li Wu, don't worry, our eldest daughter will do it too. The boys and girls and their families couldn't help but get excited. Although 2 taels of silver a month is not as profitable as robbing bird nests, this thing is a long-term return. It earns more than being a waiter in the Chengdu restaurant. It's just feeding birds, and it's not tiring. Isn't it more than these half-grown boys doing farm work? Okay, just you guys. Wei Hong directly selected 7 or 8 boys and girls and said directly, "You build the bird shed in my yard to protect it from wind and rain. Use wooden boards to build a shelf in the shed to place the bird nest. Clean up the feces and feed the birds every day. Do you understand?" The boys and girls were a little confused. Obviously, they had never done such a thing before and had no idea what to do. Wei Hong pointed directly at the oldest boy and said, "You are responsible for managing them. You are responsible for who will catch insects, sweep bird feces, and feed the birds every day. Build 2 bird sheds, one for young birds and one for adult birds. Do you understand?" "I understand." The boy nodded excitedly. "Master Li Wu, don't worry. I, Su Shaoshan, don't know anything else, but I can definitely raise birds properly. I will beat anyone who doesn't listen. Okay, go and do it. If you do it properly, you will be rewarded." Wei Hong smiled with satisfaction, and the boys and girls immediately started to work enthusiastically. Even many tenant farmers felt embarrassed to take so much money. Everyone started to help spontaneously, and soon there were 2 wooden bird houses near the wall in Wei Hong's yard. They could block the wind and rain without affecting the lighting. The young bird room was separated from the adult bird room, and as long as they were cleaned up every day, they would not look dirty or smelly at all. Not bad. Wei Hong finally smiled with satisfaction. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136 Sweating Profusely, Returning to the Embroidery Workshop. At this point, Wei Hong completely retired to the Wangfu farm. Since the Lu family's affairs had been completely resolved, he simply brought his Pajin collapsing mountain hammer and the fine steel bow with him, and chose a place in the mountains and forests near the farm as a martial arts training ground, sweating profusely every day and practicing diligently. Ho ho ho. Boom boom boom. In the martial arts training ground, Wei Hong's 2 hammers whistled through the air like a shadow. The 3600 Jin hammer was like a finger in his hand, hitting wherever he pointed, just like holding a wooden hammer, without any effort at all. But every time he hit the ground, a deep pit would be smashed. When the hammer wind brushed against the big trees and rocks, it could always smash the tree trunks into powder, and it could also smash the rocks into pieces. The power was terrifying. Huh? After a hard practice, Wei Hong stopped sweating profusely. The pudgy collapsing mountain hammer was thrown on the ground and smashed 2 big pits. His muscles were bulging like mountains, and every inch of his skin was ferocious and violent. As his whole body was agitated by the blood, the rolling sweat turned into mist and spread all around, making him look like a demon. Blood refining progress +1. Current progress is 93 out of 100 in the late blood refining realm. Wei Hong couldn't help but smile with satisfaction. His strength was improving rapidly enough, changing every day. Now he was approaching the 4th blood exchange, and the strength of one arm was nearly 10,000 pounds. The broken army collapsing mountain hammer that once made him quite strenuous. At this moment, it had become extremely handy. Few people in the blood refining realm could withstand it with one hammer. Not to mention being invincible in the same realm, I'm afraid it was almost the same. All of this was obtained through his hard work every day. Witnessing his own growth after each hard training also made him quite satisfied. Swoosh! Wei Hong whistled casually. 7 or 8 bluebirds and skylarks suddenly appeared around him. They are the young birds that have just learned to fly. These little sparrows grow very fast, almost changing every day. Su Shaoshan and other young boys and girls feed them very well. Wei Hong takes time to tame them every day, and now he can roughly drive them. The IQ of the bluebirds and skylarks is quite good. They can express a lot of meanings through their chirping sounds, such as hunger, danger and other information. Wei Hong can communicate with them simply through his bird language talent. The next step is to go through long-term systematic training. They can express more information and execute more complex instructions at the same time. In short, they are still very promising. Be good, go play. Wei Hong grabbed a handful of millet from the small cloth bag on his waist and sprinkled it out. The little birds immediately chased and pecked happily, jumping up and down. Seeing that it was getting late, Wei Hong packed up and prepared to return. Now, in order to prevent his 2 identities from being exposed, he specially rented a small courtyard in the city to hide from others. During the day, he came to the Wangfu farm to practice and train birds. After nightfall, he went back to the city to rest, which did not delay his killing of pigs in the middle of the night. Master Li Wu, are you back to the city again? Master Li Wu was busy. Walking between the ridges of the farm, many tenants greeted him enthusiastically. Since he spent a lot of money on robbing bird nests last time, he has been surprisingly popular in the farm, and everyone greeted him happily. Damn it, there is not even a woman in the farm to warm the quilt, so I'd rather go back to the city to sleep well. Wei Hong deliberately muttered in response, which immediately caused everyone to laugh. After returning to the small courtyard to check the birds, he rode a scaly horse and headed straight for the city. It took him a cup of tea to get from the farm to the city gate. He couldn't help but stop when he walked to North Street with his horse. His eyes swept across the small courtyard number 3 he rented. A few small circles had been drawn on the vermilion gate with charcoal pencils. This was the contact method he agreed upon when he met Gu Heng at the 5 Summits and took over the orders from Honglun Embroidery Workshop and other 5 merchants. If any merchant had any trouble, he would draw a circle at the gate of number 3 courtyard. But he had long abandoned the identity of Gu Heng. He had never collected the monthly fees from the major merchants this month. It stands to reason that they would quickly change someone to protect Gu Heng if he knew that something happened to him. The only one who could contact him at this time was Honglun Embroidery Workshop. In other words, after Gu Heng disappeared, Honglun Embroidery Workshop might have encountered trouble again? Otherwise, they would not have persisted in looking for him, right? Should I intervene or not? Wei Hong subconsciously struggled a little. It stands to reason that he should not intervene in such matters. After all, it would easily expose his identity as Gu Heng. At that time, the cooperation with Honglun Embroidery Workshop and other merchants was just to collect money on a monthly basis. If the cooperation was broken, it was broken, and it was only more than 1,000 taels per month. But Honglun Embroidery Workshop was different from ordinary merchants. After all, Qiuju was still making a living somewhere. If the embroidery workshop could not continue to operate, she would be more or less affected. Wei Hong thought about it and finally took a detour to the embroidery workshop. One should be consistent in life. It is not good to let the embroidery workshop fail because of Gu Heng's disappearance, which affects the livelihoods of dozens of families. Well, let's protect them again. After all, more income every month is good. After making up his mind, Wei Hong came to the door of the embroidery workshop. After not coming for many days, Honglun Embroidery Workshop has become much quieter. The embroiderers inside and outside all have sad faces and look like they are worried. "Sir, what do you want to buy?" As soon as he stepped into the shop, a servant came up to greet him warmly. Wei Hong didn't say hello and went straight to the point. "Let your second lady come down. I have a business to discuss with her." "This? Okay, please wait." The servant was very perceptive and hurriedly went up to call for help. After a while, Yan King came down from the second floor. She was no different from before. She was still graceful and charming. Her every move was full of the agility of a young girl, and she was also shrewd and capable like a businessman. She was very eye-catching wherever she went. But now she had a rare look of worry on her face. Obviously, without the protection of the strong man in the blood refining realm, her small embroidery workshop was in trouble again. Otherwise, she would not have tried to contact Gu Heng. "Sir, I am the owner of the embroidery workshop. May I know who you are?" Yan King bowed and asked politely. Wei Hong didn't waste any words and said directly, "I heard that your Honglun embroidery workshop wants to find someone to attach to it." "Yes, who are you?" Yan King's eyes lit up. "I am Li Tizhu, the personal guard of Prince Duan's palace." Wei Hong threw out the token and sneered, "I am a late blood refining realm cultivator. Do you think I am qualified?" Prince Duan's palace. Yan King took a breath of cold air and felt her scalp tingling. She just wanted to invite a blood refining realm martial artist to come and join her. How did she provoke such a person? And how could the personal guards of Prince Duan's mansion come out to join her? Would she be involved in the factional struggle in the court? For a moment, Yan King's mind was in a mess. Chapter 137 Xianji Business Alliance, In-Depth Cooperation. In the embroidery workshop hall, Wei Hong drank tea leisurely, waiting for Yan King to digest the shock of the news he brought. After a long time, he said with a smile, "Miss Yan, if you have any questions, just ask, don't hold it in. In that case, I won't be polite." Yan King hesitated for a moment, and asked directly, "Master Li Wu came to my house by himself, so he should know the troubles of my embroidery workshop, but why did he dare turn this money? Recently, I have been spending a lot, just making some extra money." Wei Hong took a sip of tea and said, "I heard that Miss Yan was generous. At the beginning, a martial artist in the early stage of the blood refining realm was willing to give 450 taels to come to the door. A late blood refining realm, should not be treated unfairly, right?" Yan King was relieved when she heard it. It's good to have something to ask for, and it's even better to ask for money. She was still afraid that the other party would seek something else. "You are the personal guard of Prince Duan's mansion. Can you also make money by hanging out?" Yan King continued to ask, "If our Honglun embroidery workshop hangs your flag, I wonder if it will be involved with Prince Duan's mansion." "You are dreaming." Wei Hong sneered and asked back, "Spending a few hundred taels a month to get on the boat of Prince Duan's mansion, Miss Yan, don't think too highly of yourself." "That's right." Yan King smiled. "It's better not to get involved with Prince Duan's mansion. She is afraid of getting involved too deeply. Businessmen just want to do business well. She can't afford to provoke the power of Prince Duan's mansion. I am willing to pay 800 taels a month, oh no, 900 taels. Yan King gritted her silver teeth, put down a heavy capital and said, "Please ask Master Li Wu to protect our workshop." Wei Hong was naturally not surprised by this result. Yan King is a smart person. She knows that money has never been the top priority for Honglun Embroidery Workshop. Only a stable business environment is the most important. Getting on Wei Hong can not only have a late-stage blood refining realm warrior hanging on to deter the villains. Can she borrow the reputation of Prince Duan's mansion? Is 900 taels a month more than enough? Even if she had to hand over most of the monthly profits of the entire embroidery workshop, Yan King would agree without blinking, because this not only bought stability, but also bought the future. With the support of a late-stage blood refining realm warrior, she can not only do business steadily, but she can also dare to open branches and even seek larger business channels. This deal will definitely not lose money. Okay, deal. Wei Hong smiled with satisfaction and explained directly, I live in the 5th courtyard on the right side of Keishi Street. If you have something to find me, just leave a sign at the door. No one is at home during the day. This. Yan Qing's hand trembled and she almost spilled the tea. She is also a smart person. Looking at Wei Hong's meaningful eyes, she finally fell silent. Thank you, Master Li, for protecting my Honglun embroidery workshop. I am very grateful. Yan Qing's face was full of gratitude, and there was a little more intimacy and trust in her eyes. She decisively asked someone to fetch the banknotes, and after handing the 900 taels to Wei Hong, Yan Qing hesitated for a moment and continued, I want to join the Xianji Merchant Alliance recently. There will be an internal tea party of the Merchant Alliance soon. I wonder if Master Li Wu is willing to come out and attend. Oh. Wei Hong raised his eyebrows in surprise. Yan Qing hurriedly said, the Merchant Alliance is an organization spontaneously organized by thousands of merchants to seek greater benefits. It can barely be regarded as a loose organization that can compete with large chambers of commerce. If I can successfully join the Xianji Merchant Alliance, it will be very beneficial for the expansion of Honglun Embroidery Workshop. Next, I plan to open a few more embroidery workshops, perfume workshops, garment workshops and other stores. If Master Li Wu is willing to protect me, I am willing to give you dividends and dry shares. In the future, no matter how much money our branches make, we will all pay 20% of the profits as monthly allowances. Wei Hong didn't understand what this meant when he heard it. The other party wanted to take advantage of his big banner to develop. Although the title of the Prince Duan's personal guard is not loud enough, it is still popular in the outer city. People have to give him some face, and he is also a martial artist in the late stage of the blood refining realm, so he can more or less cover a small chamber of commerce. In addition, she may have also had the intention of testing Wei Hong's strength. After all, she is not a martial artist, so she can't see how capable he is. Miss Yan, are you planning to establish a chamber of commerce? Wei Hong asked in a deep voice. Yes. Yan Qing nodded, and replied softly with a complex look in her eyes, my father left some money and connections before he died, but it is a waste to use them to maintain a small embroidery workshop. I plan to expand and strengthen the Chamber of Commerce and gradually get involved in other industries. Why not invite a strong man in the bone refining realm to take charge? Wei Hong was curious. Yan Qing sighed and smiled bitterly, shaking her head. How can a bone refining realm expert like us, a small family, afford to support him? Not to mention whether we can invite him here. Even if we do, I'm afraid it won't be enough to get rid of him with a 20% profit. Master Li, please don't joke with me. That's right. Wei Hong thought about it and agreed secretly. In his opinion, the bone refining realm might not be a big deal. After all, he would definitely be able to break through to this realm after a while. But in the eyes of ordinary people, this is a very unattainable realm. You have to know that the 5 leaders of the 5 summits are only at the bone refining realm. Any bone refining realm expert has absolute say in small and medium-sized forces. Only the top powerful families like the Prince Duan's mansion can let the bone refining realm serve as the captain of the personal guard and drive them at will. In the end, it's just that Wei Hong's vision has become higher. You have to know that if it is in a small county in an alien state, a bone refining realm expert may be the strongest in the entire county, a ruthless character who can completely dominate the fate of the people in the county. Okay. Wei Hong nodded and said with satisfaction, thanks to Miss Yan's appreciation, Li will accompany you for a trip, but I'll say it first. I will only go as myself. In order not to be implicated in the Prince Duan's mansion, I will even wear a mask. Okay, I will wait for Master Li Wu to come in half a month. Yan Qing naturally did not respond. The two chatted for a few words and had a good chat. This new cooperation was settled. Wei Hong will receive a minimum of 900 taels of affiliation fees from Honglun Embroidery Workshop every month in the future. If Yan Qing is capable and opens more stores, his income will probably increase by dozens of times. This can also be regarded as a profitable investment. Wei Hong paid for military protection, and Yan Qing paid for labor and funds. Both felt that they had earned benefits, and they were naturally in a very good mood. However, just as Wei Hong was about to get up and say goodbye, Chunlin, who had not seen him for a long time, walked into the store with a small basket. She no longer had the youthful and beautiful look of a girl. She had her hair in a bun, her belly was slightly bulging, she was wearing a coarse linen shirt, her face was pale and bloodless, her hands were rough and swollen, and she looked as if she had aged 10 years. Second Miss. Chunlin bowed politely. Chunlin is here? Are you bringing food to Manager Joe again? Yan King asked softly. Yes, yes. Chunlin did not dare to say anything more, and walked quickly into the backyard. After a while, Zhou Junai's impatient curses were heard from the backyard. Chapter 138. You're responsible for the consequences of your own actions. A new idea. You are so slow to deliver food, what's the use of you? Look, is it time to eat now? I'll be starving by the time the food is delivered. A series of low curses came from the backyard. Wei Hong had extremely sharp hearing and immediately recognized that it was Zhou Junai's voice. Don't be angry, husband. Chunlin stammered. Today, my mother-in-law felt dizzy and uncomfortable. I helped her find a doctor and was busy washing clothes, so I was late in delivering the food. You should eat quickly. Eat, 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 what are you eating? Zhou Junai complained impatiently. Is this food for humans? These pickles are eaten every day, and I'm sick of them. But this is all we have at home, and we don't have money to buy anything else. If you don't have money, can't you spin a few more pieces of cloth? Are you a useless person? The quarrel and scolding continued. Wei Hong's face flashed a strange look. He had long expected that Chunlin's life would not be easy if she rushed to get married. But he never expected that Chunlin would be tortured to death after only 1 or 2 months of marriage. It seems that the mother and son of the Zhou family are really nothing. But he was too lazy to care about these trivial matters. He stood up and said to Yan King, Second Miss Yan, see you in half a month. I'll take my leave first. Master Li Wu, take care. Yan King stood up to see him off. When she saw him walk out of the embroidery workshop with a dragon-like stride, she called the middle-aged shopkeeper who was counting the accounts at the counter with a happy face and said, Uncle Zhao, please send someone to find out whether there is a personal guard Li Tizu in the late stage of the blood refining realm in the Prince Duan's mansion. Also, have someone make a new hanging flag immediately. If the investigation is no problem, hang it at the door of the store to protect our embroidery workshop from being disturbed. Also, notify the Xianji Business Alliance immediately that we will also participate in the next tea party. Yes. The middle-aged shopkeeper went down with a happy face to do it. In the afternoon, Wei Hong returned to Wei's house in Xianbao Lane with wine and food. Recently, he has been running around the city all day long, with less than 2 hours of rest time every day. Most of the time, he doesn't get home until nightfall. Today is considered to be the early day for him to get home. Qiuzhu is still working in the embroidery workshop and is not at home. Old Wei was boiling medicine while taking care of Yuan. He was so busy that he didn't even notice that he came back. Grandpa, what are you busy with? Wei Hong was surprised. Where is Grandma Wang? Your Grandma Wang has had a headache recently and is lying down to rest. Old Wei said with a worried look on his face. I was free and boiled some medicine for her. Why did you get sick? Wei Hong asked in surprise while holding Yuan. Alice. It's Chunlin again. Old Wei hesitated and said, you may not know because you have been too busy recently. Chunlin has not been living well since she married into the Zhou family. Grandma Wang misses her granddaughter and is inevitably worried. She has been very ill during this period. Wei Hong couldn't help but raise his eyebrows when he thought of what he had seen and heard at the Honglun embroidery workshop just now. It seemed that the fact that Chunlin was not living well was almost known to everyone, and he only knew it now because he was too busy. This silly girl is also stupid. She was not allowed to marry, but she had to marry. The result is as expected. Old Wei muttered, she was tortured by her mother-in-law just after she got married. She had to get up before dawn every day to do housework and serve the whole family. Zhou Linqi was also a piece of shit. She beat and scolded her at home every day. At the beginning, Zhou Junai was nice to her, but he couldn't resist the repeated instigation of his own mother, and he started to beat her up after a few days. Now Chunlin can't do her good work in the embroidery workshop. She has to stay up late to do embroidery work to support the family every day. Her eyes are almost blinded, and she is still pregnant. Wei Hong listened quietly. Most women in ancient times had this fate. If you marry a good man, you can suffer less. If you marry a bad man, you will often end up worse off than dead, regardless of whether you are rich or poor. After all, this is a thoroughly patriarchal era. He gave Chunlin and Qiuzhu a chance. I brought Grandma Wang's family out of the slums because I wanted them to have more choices for the future, but only Qiuzhu chose to rely on herself. Chunlin still plunged into the old path of women in this era. In the end, she didn't live a good life and it was no one else's fault. "Brother Hong, why don't you go and give the Zhou family a warning?" Old Wei said worriedly. "Chunlin has grown up with you since childhood. It's not good to see her live too miserably. You are now a well-known figure on the street. If you come forward to support Chunlin, she will be better off." "Why should I support her?" Wei Hong sneered disdainfully. "I have no kinship with her, and our relationship is average. She rushed to deliver herself to others to be criticized. Why should we interfere in other people's family affairs? Be careful that when Zhou Junai coaxes a few words, Chunlin will turn around and scold us for meddling in other people's business." "That's right." Old Wei smiled awkwardly and didn't dare to say anything else. He was not a saint, he was just desperate to seek medical help. Maybe if it was another old neighbor who was suffering, he would also be soft-hearted. After Wei Hong explained the matter clearly, he gave up the idea. "I'll go see Grandma Wang." Wei Hong carried Yuan into the side room. Grandma Wang was lying on the bed with a sick face, sleeping. She looked very bad. The gray hair on her head was now mostly white, and she looked like an old woman in her twilight years. She was about the same age as Old Wei, but their situations were very different. Even though life was getting better and better now, Chunlin's matter had hurt her after all. She suffered too much when she was young, and her body was probably at the end of its strength. Will she get better? The little girl Yuan rarely said a word. Her little face was frowned, full of worry and expectation. Wei Hong squatted down and rubbed her head, and smiled solemnly. "Yes, Grandma Wang will get better, don't worry." "Yes." Yuan narrowed her eyes happily, as if she believed it. She has always relied on and trusted Wei Hong 100%, so when he said this, she smiled with relief. Wei Hong doesn't know how to cure diseases. But he has already studied 100 herbs and pharmacy to perfection. Since he can be a poison master, it seems that there is nothing wrong with changing to become a doctor. Whether Grandma Wang can be cured is secondary, and learning one more skill is definitely worthwhile. Tomorrow I'll find a few medical books to study. It shouldn't be difficult to cure her and then take care of her. Grandpa's health has been getting worse over the years, so it's imperative for him to master medical skills. In addition, if I can study a few elixirs after I become proficient in medical skills, and then sell them through Yanking for a long time, it will definitely be a huge source of income. Although I'm not short of money now, I will definitely have places to spend money after entering the bone refining realm. I need to find more ways to make money. Wei Hong murmured to himself in his heart, and suddenly thought that this idea was good. Please vote and read on. Chapter 139 Qingnang Medical Classics, Huo Yizi's Foraging Technique. On the second day, Wei Hong once again stepped into the sutra library of the prince's mansion. Now, relying on the fake identity of Li Tizhu, he can freely enter and exit this place. There are thousands of books in the sutra library, which are enough for him to find the medical books he wants. At the same time, many books such as practice notes, ancient people's experiences, and chivalrous travel notes also made him very interested. If there were no time limit, he would have wanted to soak here every day to increase his knowledge. What a great place! I have to come here every month to read books in the future. Such a good opportunity must not be missed. Wei Hong sighed and quickly selected 2 secret books. He had 3 exchange opportunities on the first floor of the Sutra Library this month. One of them was exchanged for bird taming, and the remaining 2 times he chose a Qingnang medical classic and a Huo's Hizzy foraging technique. The collections in the Sutra Library of Prince Duan's mansion are all fine products. Although they were thrown on the bookshelf casually, they are all rare and hard to find in the world if placed in the outside world. Among them, the Qingnang medical classic was written by the great Dr. Li Yunqing 300 years ago. It is a school of its own in the world of medicine and is very famous. As for the forging technique, it was written by the great craftsman Huo's Hizzy in his later years. Every word was written with great effort. It is a divine book sought after by craftsmen in the world. Unfortunately, these are books that are of little help to martial arts. Therefore, they were just thrown into the corner of the sutra pavilion at random, and finally Wei Hong got the advantage. It is always good to learn more methods, which can also be regarded as enhancing one's own foundation. Medical skills can heal injuries, cure diseases and make medicines, and forging techniques can be used to study the Jiang condensing spirit talisman. There may be a chance to carve it out in the future. It is unknown. At that time, there will be one more method against strange monsters. After Wei Hong made up his mind, decisively exchanged them for collection, and then smashed the vitality point vitality. Ling. Vitality 100, your Qingnang Medical Classic has reached the Mastery Realm. Ling. Vitality 100, your Huoyizi Forging Technique has reached the Mastery Realm. Ling. Your Qingnang Medical Scripture has reached its limit, awakening the talent of a benevolent doctor. Your accuracy in using medicine is plus 50%, and the effect is increased by 50%. Ling. Your Huoyizi Forging skill has reached its limit, awakening the talent of excellence. The weapon you forge is sharp plus 3, strong plus 5, and armor piercing plus 5 for a moment. All kinds of information rolled, intertwined, comprehended, and merged in Wei Hong's mind. His blood was surging, and even a few beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. When he opened his eyes again, it was already a cup of tea. There was more wisdom and calmness in his eyes, like a decades-old blacksmith, and also like a long-time doctor. Huh? Wei Hong looked around in doubt. He found that since he had acquired medical skills and forging skills, he looked at other people in the Sutra Pavilion with a little scrutiny. From everyone's face, steps, eyes, and breathing, he could actually roughly infer the other person's state and symptoms. Taking another look at the weapons worn by other martial artists, he could roughly judge the material, temperature, level, and even the forger's school. Although this ability is not very directly helpful in combat, it is still a great help when fighting. At least it allows Wei Hong to quickly see through the enemy's flaws. Such a skill is really amazing. At this time, Wei Hong realized the magic of the golden finger. It is not about how to become stronger quickly, but about the innate ability obtained after brushing each skill to the limit. Many common ordinary skills, once brushed to the limit, immediately, they can turn decay into magic and dig out many amazing uses. Thinking of this, Wei Hong looked at the many bookshelves in the Sutra Pavilion as if he was looking at a treasure. There are countless good things waiting for him to dig here. Afternoon Xianbao Lane, Wei's house. Wei Hong sat in front of Grandma Wang's bed in the side room, squinting his eyes to feel her pulse. Old Wei, Qiuju, and the little girl Yue Nigun were all waiting curiously on the side. How is it? Old Wei couldn't help asking. Dr. Liu from East Street said that your Grandma Wang has evil spirits entering her body. She needs to take warming and nourishing medicine for weakness. I don't know if it's right or not. If you are not sure, why don't we go find a good doctor to take a look? No need. Wei Hong retracted his hand and said lightly, she just has a heart disease caused by overthinking and restlessness. Just prescribe 3 sets of tranquilizing soup. After that, he controlled a dark energy to enter Grandma Wang's body. While pressing several acupuncture points on her arm, he easily cleared the blood stasis in her meridians. After a while, she was much more energetic. Grandma, are you feeling better? Qiuju asked anxiously. It's okay. Grandma Wang said weakly, thank you, Brother Hong, I feel much better now. Yet, Wei Hong nodded and warned, don't think too much. Children and grandchildren have their own blessings. It's really important to take good care of yourself. Alice. Grandma Wang sighed and said no more. Wei Hong was too lazy to persuade her anymore. He wrote a prescription for calming the nerves and handed it to Qiuju, saying, get the medicine according to the prescription. 3 doses will cure the disease. Thank you, Brother Wei. Qiuju gritted her teeth and said, I'll go get the medicine now. Wait. Wei Hong picked up the pen and wrote another prescription. He solemnly took out a silver note of 100 taels and handed it over, saying, by the way, help me get 10 prescriptions for the medicine on the prescription. What? You're not feeling well, too? Old Wei couldn't help but ask curiously. Wei Hong shook his head and said nothing. He just smiled and asked Qiuju to do it. He practiced martial arts all day long and his blood was vigorous and he was immune to all diseases. How could he feel uncomfortable? He just wrote a prescription to study it. Yan King will open a chamber of commerce soon. Although Wei Hong is not good at business, he will not dislike having a lot of money. With his medical skills that are almost comparable to those of a genius doctor, it is still very simple to study a profitable elixir, but what elixir to sell is very particular. The secret medicines for skin refining and blood refining are all in the hands of major families. Even if Wei Hong could research them now, he would not dare to sell them in a big way. Generally, warming and healing medicines are sold in major pharmacies. They are considered to be common goods on the streets and cannot be sold at a high price. Wei Hong needs a pill that is simple to make, has technical barriers, does not cause trouble, and can earn a lot of money. After thinking about it, he can only think of 2 kinds: poison and aphrodisiac. Needless to say, poison can only be sold secretly after he makes it, which is really not worth it. Aphrodisiac is different. Many powerful people are pampered and weak, and they have to go out to seek flowers and ask willows when they can't feed a bunch of wives and concubines at home. If there is a top-notch medicine with warming and no side effects, they will definitely spend a lot of money to buy it. So Wei Hong thought about it. He immediately decided to use his medical skills that had just been pushed to the limit to study this great alchemy and work hard to benefit thousands of men. It's just making money, what's so difficult about it? Once I figure it out, won't I be rich and powerful? Wei Hong smiled in his heart. Chapter 140, The Chamber of Commerce Tea Party, attracting everyone's attention. Late August. The weather is clear and the breeze is blowing. The largest Xianji Business Alliance headquarters on Zhuge Street in Anlifang has gathered a large number of carriages and horses since early in the morning. Countless wealthy businessmen have come one after another, and the lively crowd almost blocked the street. On a large carriage, Wei Hong, wearing a bronze mask, sat opposite Yan King, who was wearing a green gauze skirt. The two looked at the hustle and bustle outside the car and were speechless. Please trouble Master Li Wu to accompany me for a walk. I am very grateful. Yan King smiled bitterly and said, the Xianji Business Alliance brings together various large and small merchants, as well as some small and medium-sized chambers of commerce. The Hongyan Chamber of Commerce will also send people here. If you are troubled by others later, please be patient, Master Li Wu. Patience. Wei Hong sneered, are you sure that you can get respect by swallowing your anger? This. Yan King hesitated. Wei Hong waved his hand nonchalantly and said, don't worry, I know what to do today. Even if I wear a mask, it's not difficult for people to figure out my identity. With the support of Prince Duan's mansion, no one dares to mess with me. That's right. Yan King was secretly relieved. The Xianji Business Alliance is just a loose organization, which is similar to the scattered alliances of warriors. They are all places for exchanging information, building relationships, and getting to know each other. Yan King wants to open a chamber of commerce, so she naturally has to pay homage to her peers. Today's tea party will inevitably be harassed by the Hongyan Chamber of Commerce. Wei Hong and her just got off the carriage, and they immediately attracted a lot of attention. First of all, his tall and strong figure is very oppressive. His cultivation in the late stage of the blood refining realm is intimidating without anger, and he wears a terrifying bronze mask, so naturally people dare not underestimate him. Yan King is as charming as a flower, with ice-like skin and jade-like bones. Every frown and smile touches the hearts of the men present, and many people even stare with wide eyes. As soon as the two appeared, familiar merchants came up to greet them. Oh, isn't this Nishan? I haven't seen you for a while, but you are getting more beautiful. That's right, now the business of Hongluan embroidery workshop is booming, which really makes us ashamed. Several middle-aged merchants greeted happily. You are welcome, uncles. Yan King responded easily, and said with a smile, my niece will have to rely on your help in the future, so don't be estranged. Yes, yes, yes. Go in first, and talk later. After a round of politeness, everyone followed the flow of people into the headquarters of the Chamber of Commerce. This place is like a huge mansion, with 7 courtyards in and out of the courtyard. Various rockery and water are arranged beautifully, and there are many maids and servants serving tea. The tea party is set up by a lake. The lake is full of tables and chairs, and it is already crowded at this moment. After Yan King and Wei Hong found a seat and sat down, Yan King whispered, do you see the seat on the left side of the upper seat? That's the person from the Hongyan Chamber of Commerce, and my second uncle Yan Yun. He is ruthless and merciless, so be careful. Wei Hong followed her gaze and immediately saw a middle-aged man wearing a purple brocade robe, with a square face, a majestic face, and 2 small mustaches. Behind him stood 2 strong martial artists with their arms crossed. They looked like they had at least the strength of the early or middle stage of the blood refining realm. Not bad. Wei Hong sneered and commented, other merchants have to beg for favors to get a blood refining realm affiliation, but he can actually bring 2 blood refining realm martial artists as followers? He is more stylish than others. Although the Hongyan Chamber of Commerce is a third-rate chamber of commerce in Chengdu, it is still a bit famous in Anlifang. Yan King smiled bitterly and said, with such wealth and power, whether it is hiring or training themselves, there will always be no shortage of blood refining realm martial artists. You know, They are now one of the 9 permanent managers of the Chamber of Commerce, and they have a lot of say here. This time we came here to make connections, and secondly, we also want to announce the news of the establishment of the Chamber of Commerce. Thirdly, the Xianji Chamber of Commerce is short of a manager recently, and I want to give it a try. Oh. Wei Hong didn't expect the other party to be so ambitious. The next branch hasn't been opened yet, but he has already been thinking about the position of the Chamber of Commerce manager. It seems that he wants to use the banner of the Chamber of Commerce to develop. Eating fruits and melon seeds, sipping tea and chatting for a while. The Xianji Business Alliance Tea Party finally officially began. A mature and beautiful woman in her early 30s, with a swaying figure and charming manners, walked onto the stage with a smile. As soon as she appeared, she attracted the attention of the whole audience. Most people present were amazed and awed, and it was obvious that she was of a special status. This is Wei, the head of the Xianji Business Alliance. Yan King exhaled like orchids, and whispered in Wei Hong's ear, her identity and origin are mysterious. She has built a huge business in the capital alone. I heard that there are also large forces behind her. Wei Hong smiled helplessly. He was not interested in this. He wasted his time coming here just to support Yan King and facilitate his next money-making plan. No matter what the other party's identity and origin were, he had no interest in making friends. Everyone, welcome to our tea party. Wei smiled softly and said, this is a tea party at the end of summer and the beginning of autumn. It not only has the meaning of summarizing the past, but also has the ambition to look forward to future development. As usual, let's invite representatives of each merchant to come on stage and talk for a few words. Okay. There was a burst of cheers from the audience. Yan Yun, the second uncle mentioned by Yan King, stood up first, bowed to the people around him, and smiled. Since it is a tea party, I will say a few words first. On behalf of the president of Hongyan Chamber of Commerce and the manager of Xianji Chamber of Commerce, I will report to you first. This quarter, our Hongyan Chamber of Commerce has added a total of 11 branches, involving a total of many industries such as drugstores, dyeing workshops, embroidery workshops, and cloth shops, and the profits are quite high. The revenue of this Chamber of Commerce this quarter has increased by at least 5% compared with the previous quarter. Yan Yun boasted on the stage for a while. Wei Hong probably understood what he meant. The so-called tea party was a bragging meeting, where people would brag about how much money their own shops made, in order to build their reputation and attract other people to invest in their own shops. Isn't this just business bragging and attracting investment? Wei Hong's eyes twitched, and he felt that this scene was a little familiar. It's boring, right? Yan King chuckled and said in his ear, tea parties are so boring. You have to brag more if you have a little achievement. Businessmen always package themselves habitually. No matter how empty their pockets are, they have to prop up their storefronts. Wei Hong nodded in understanding. Isn't this the reason why many businessmen have to buy luxury cars to support their storefronts, no matter how poor they are? But the tea party won't be too boring. Many people come from other states. Yan King listened with relish and said, they can always reveal the fluctuations in prices and business opportunities in various places in their conversations. If you listen patiently, you will also gain something. Yet, Wei Hong didn't say anything more after hearing this. He just suppressed his impatience and watched one businessman after another come on stage. Chapter 141, You want to hold me down with this little trick? After half a day of tea party, Wei Hong felt drowsy and wanted to leave several times. However, since he had agreed to come to support Yan King, it would be difficult to just walk away. He could only force himself to endure the noise and continue to listen. In the afternoon, it was finally Yan King's turn to go on stage. She walked onto the stage with a graceful manner and a smile on her face, which immediately attracted the attention of the whole audience. Even those who were sleepy could not help but stare at this beautiful girl. My dear seniors. Yan King dropped a bombshell as soon as she came on stage. I intend to establish the King Chamber of Commerce, and at the same time compete for the vacant position of manager of the Chamber of Commerce. I hope you will support me. Establish a Chamber of Commerce? That's right, King should have done this a long time ago. That's right, your father left you a lot of capital, and it's a bit of a waste of talent to run a small shop. I wonder what business King's niece wants to start. Everyone started talking at once. Yan Yun sneered and said, you are just a brat and you dare to speak so arrogantly. Your father left you some fortune. No one will say anything if you want to squander it. But you want to join the Chamber of Commerce as a manager before you have achieved any results. I'm afraid your niece is daydreaming. That's right, a manager of the Chamber of Commerce can be anyone. Niece King, you should think about how to marry a good husband. Ha ha ha. Many people close to the Hongyan Chamber of Commerce began to sneer. Yan King had expected this, so her face was not moved at all. She just said calmly, "It is normal for everyone to have doubts, but King has been following her father to manage the affairs of the Chamber of Commerce since she was young, and I think she has some skills. Although I have been guarding the Honglun embroidery workshop since I set up my own business, the embroidery workshop is thriving and profitable. Now King wants to invest 200,000 taels to enter the cloth industry, textiles, pharmacies, ready-made clothes, restaurants, planting and other industries. It is expected to open 12 branches in the early stage. In addition, King is willing to issue a military order. If the Chamber of Commerce cannot make a profit of more than 30% within half a year, I will voluntarily pay 10 times the membership fee. In addition, I will cooperate with everyone in the alliance for all the businesses under the name of King Chamber of Commerce." Everyone was secretly shocked when they heard this. This little girl's family background is really rich. Whether it is true or not, she said she would invest 200,000 taels at the first moment. Many people present could not come up with 20,000 taels, even if they took out all their money. She has come up with so much money on her own, which is almost comparable to the total assets of some small and medium-sized chambers of commerce. Everyone can't help but look at her with enthusiasm. Niece King is so generous. I, old Sue, will be the first to support you. Yes, our Linji doesn't have much else but a lot of silk. My niece wants to do the cloth business. We can cooperate more. Yes, maybe we can still cooperate. Everyone in the audience became interested. The position of manager has no real power, it's just a title. Yan King wanted this position, so everyone was naturally happy to recommend her. After all, if they could cooperate with her, many people could also make a profit. Okay. Yuki Wei, who had been silent all the time, was the first to support. The sister of the Yan family is also a person who can do big things. You have such a great ambition, and I am the first to support you. I wonder what you think. At this time, everyone began to express their opinions. Although the Xianji Business Alliance is a loose organization, the 9 manager positions are still of some weight. Those who can take up the position must be of sufficient weight, and must be approved by half of the people. Yuki Wei expressed her stance, and with Yan King's big pie in the sky to support her. Many people naturally chose to support her. However, Yan Yun and several other larger chambers of commerce expressed their opposition. For a time, the number of supporters and opponents was almost equal, and the atmosphere fell into deadlock. Yan Yun seemed to have been prepared for this. He said with a smile, "According to the rules of our business alliance, if we decide to express a tie, we need to send people to fight. I heard that King's niece recently found a late-stage blood-refining realm strongman as a backer. I wonder if we can have the honor to see the style of a master." While speaking, everyone looked at Wei Hong. In the eyes of scrutiny, or playfulness, Yan Yun's calm eyes were particularly eye-catching. Wei Hong looked at him from a distance, and read contempt in each other's eyes. Obviously, this guy is a smart guy. In this world, money is useless, and force is the cornerstone of everything. Why did Yan King dare to open a chamber of commerce when he couldn't even run his embroidery workshop, and he opened more than a dozen branches at once? It's because he relied on someone to back him up. Yan Yun's idea was very simple and straightforward. He just wanted to defeat this backer, so that Yan King's plan would fail in the womb, and he would go back to the family to make profits through marriage. Haha. Wei Hong smiled contemptuously, stood up and said, "After half a day of procrastination, we finally have some fun. How do you want to play? Mark a path." After saying that, he looked at the 2 strong men behind Yan Yun. A cold look scared the 2 men so much that their faces turned pale and cold sweats ran down their faces. "What? Second uncle wants to send them off?" Yan King asked jokingly. "Of course not." Yan Yun clapped his hands, and immediately an old man in a gray robe walked out from behind the crowd and walked to the front step by step. "Who is this?" "Senior Mew." "Oh my god, it's really Senior Mew. Did he retire? How could he be here?" Everyone exclaimed in disgust. Many people's faces changed again and again. Obviously this person is very famous. Yan King's face suddenly became ugly. She walked to Wei Hong's side and whispered, "Cancel the plan. It doesn't matter if he is not the manager of Xianji Business Alliance. This person is called Mu Sui. He was born as a bodyguard. He has traveled all over the country and experienced many battles. He has made a great reputation. Although he is over 60 years old and his blood and ki are declining, he is still very difficult to deal with his strength at the peak of the blood refining realm and rich fighting experience. Moreover, this person has been escorting for many years and has a wide network of contacts. He can speak in both the black and white worlds. Many merchants look for him as a lobbyist when something goes wrong. My second uncle deliberately asked him to come out and fight with you. This is to trick you." Wei Hong raised his eyebrows and naturally knew the trick. First of all, the opponent is strong and difficult to deal with. Secondly, the other party has a wide network of contacts and face. Even if Wei Hong wins, he will still make a big enemy. Most people will back down in this situation. It is obviously unwise to offend an old man at the peak of the blood refining realm for a little bit of profit. Awesome. Wei Hong looked at Yan Yun with interest. The other party's planning ability is not small, and the means are quite sharp. It seems that it is not unreasonable for him to become the president of the Hongyan Chamber of Commerce. You want to suppress me with this little trick? Haha, you think too highly of yourself, don't you? Wei Hong sneered and said, Senior Mu, right? Go home and retire when you are old, don't come out to sell your old face. Hiss. Everyone took a breath of cold air, all shocked by his words. Chapter 142, The Power of One Move. The notoriety spread far and wide. Wei Hong's tough attitude not only made everyone present scalp numb, but also made Mu Sui, who had been silent and cold, pale. He stared at him with his cloudy eyes, and his eyes were full of coldness, as if he was looking at a dead person. Haha, the little kid is really crazy. Mu Sui laughed in anger. I have traveled all over the country for so many years and have seen many people like you, but in the end they all had to kneel on the ground and beg for mercy. I wonder how many moves you can hold on. Haha. Bursts of suppressed laughter rang out in the crowd. Obviously, they were not optimistic about Wei Hong. After all, Mu Sui was a well-known good player, and all major merchants had to give him face. How could he not be able to defeat a young man? You have to know that he just started to decline in energy and blood, and his combat experience was basically maintained at the peak state. Boy. Mu Sui sneered and said, I had already retired from the martial arts world and didn't intend to ask about the affairs of the martial arts world, but President Yan gave me so much. If you know what's good for you, you should give in. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. One move. Wei Hong was too lazy to talk nonsense with him. He just raised a finger carelessly and said, I will only make one move. If you can survive, I will lose today. Hiss. Everyone gasped in shock. Who is this guy? How dare he be so arrogant? Not to mention that each small level in the blood refining realm is very different. He and old man Mu Sui are still two small realms apart. How dare he say such big words? Niece King. Yan Yun said with a smile, where did you find a backer? You are so arrogant. Humph. Yan King snorted coldly and didn't answer. In fact, even she was not sure, let alone why Wei Hong dared to be so confident. The situation was now tense, and she couldn't give in even if she didn't want to. She could only hope that Wei Hong would be more reliable and not embarrass her. Okay, okay. Mu Sui said with a joking face, young people are really arrogant. I admire you. But I haven't been around for nothing for all these years. You want to kill me with one move? Are you dreaming? Really? Wei Hong didn't bother to talk nonsense anymore. He simply raised his hand to signal the other party to prepare. This provocative move made Mu Sui almost want to vomit blood. However, he was not a person who couldn't keep his temper at an old age, so he took a deep breath and didn't act impulsively, but silently urged his blood and ki to make the strongest preparations. Once he survived Wei Hong's first move, he would launch a fierce counterattack. He must strive to defeat the opponent within 3 moves and make a name for himself. Otherwise, how could he be worthy of the high price offered by Yan Yun? The two looked at each other, and the atmosphere suddenly became solemn. Quick, quick, retreat, everyone retreat. Be careful not to get hurt, spread out. Everyone was so scared that their scalps went numb, and they felt their hearts trembling. This was a battle at the peak of the blood refining realm. How lucky they were to see it with their own eyes. Once a battle of this level started, it would be a thunderous and earth-shattering battle. A few stones splashing out would be enough to kill ordinary people, so how dare they not hide? Wei Hong smiled and didn't bother to accumulate strength. He kicked his legs hard, and the next moment his body turned from stillness into a residual image. He crashed directly in front of Mu Sui like a cannonball, and raised his hand to use a terrifying mountain-breaking fist. Not good. An expert knows whether it will work or not as soon as he makes a move. Others may not have reacted yet, but Mu Sui was already scared to the point of his scalp going numb. He had never seen someone with such fierce explosive power. For a moment, he felt that all the retreat routes around him had been blocked and pulled by Wei Hong's aura, just like a mountain rolling over, forcing him to grit his teeth and fight hard. Get out of here. Mu Sui took a deep breath and raised his hand to punch him. Bang! The two fists collided. Everyone saw a blood mist explode. The next moment, a terrifying air wave rolled around. Then Mu Sui's figure flew backwards. When everyone stood up from the air wave, they saw that Mu Sui had been blown away more than 10 feet away and crashed directly into the pavilion in the middle of the lake. Puff! Mu Sui's originally strong body had already turned into a pool of mud. Not only were his arms blown into blood mist fragments from top to bottom, but even his clothes were torn into rags by the huge impact force, and his body bones were shattered inch by inch. He fell painfully in the ruins of the pavilion in the middle of the lake and vomited black blood. You? How could you? Puff! Mu Sui struggled to ask the doubts in his heart. But in the end, he couldn't even say a complete sentence. He died on the spot with a face full of reluctance, and black blood kept gushing out of his 7 orifices. His death was horrifying, and the crowd cried out in shock. Dead? He died just now. It was really just one move. How is this possible? Oh my god, this is Senior Mu, how could he? Everyone was dumbfounded and felt like they were dreaming. But the fact was right in front of them. Wei Hong really killed Mu Sui with one punch. This old man at the peak of the blood refining realm had traveled all over the country for decades and established a great reputation. He had retired and was ready to enjoy his old age, but he never thought that he would be killed here with one punch. Such a situation is really a pity. Yan Yun was also dumbfounded at this moment, and Yam King was also secretly surprised. The two of them obviously never thought that their open and secret struggles would lead to such a dragon crossing the river. No wonder he dared to be so arrogant. Okay. Yuki Ui was the first to react. She smiled and clapped her hands and said, I wonder what this gentleman's name is? May I have the honor of making friends with him? You're welcome. Wei Hong nodded indifferently and refused directly. Forget about making friends. Miss Yan and I have a cooperative relationship. I hope you will give me some face. I am very sorry for what happened today. I have something else to do and will not accompany you. Goodbye. After saying that, he turned around and left neatly. Only a mess was left on the ground, and the people were in awe. Hey, where did you find such a backer, Niece King? Awesome. Tisk tisk tisk, to kill Senior Mu with one punch, how strong is that? He can't be in the bone refining realm in disguise. Haha, now President Yan has no reason to stop him from being promoted to the manager of the Chamber of Commerce, right? Everyone spoke at once, either to please or to curry favor with him. Yan King showed a faint smile on his face, turned around and asked, is second uncle satisfied with this? Humph. Yan Yun left in anger. Obviously, he had tacitly accepted the result of this duel. After all, merchants have always only compared financial strength and military strength. Yan King already has financial strength, and she also has the upper hand in military strength. What reason does he have to stop it? Okay. Yuki Uiyu chuckled and said, Sister King, congratulations on taking on the position of the 9th manager of this alliance. Congratulations. Everyone congratulated. Yan King smiled and greeted, feeling extremely excited. Please vote, please read, please reward. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143 Huge Profits, Wei Hong's Business Philosophy. In the evening, in the private room on the second floor of Zuxian Lao, Yan King personally hosted a banquet for Wei Hong. Various delicious delicacies were placed on the table, and several pots of good wine exuded a faint mellow fragrance, all of which showed her gratitude and joy. Master Li Wu, Thank you for your help today. Yan King raised her glass to thank him, her eyes like a deer full of gratitude. If it weren't for you, today wouldn't be so smooth. No need to do so, you and I will naturally contribute our own efforts in cooperation. Wei Hong smiled and raised his glass. I haven't congratulated Miss Yan on the establishment of the King Chamber of Commerce yet. The two smiled at each other, and it seemed that they had some tacit understanding. The shopkeeper Zhao of Honglun Embroidery Workshop, who was accompanying them, couldn't help but sigh. Thanks to Master Li Wu's help, Miss finally saw the light this time. It's not easy. Next, which industry are you going to focus on developing? Wei Hong asked thoughtfully. Ready-made clothes and cloth. Yan King said without hiding anything. The craftsmanship of Honglun Embroidery Workshop is well known in Anlifang, and there are many regular customers. Since we are going to open a branch, it is natural to expand from the embroidery workshop. The other branches are just a cover. Wei Hong couldn't help but nod secretly. This pretty girl is indeed very smart. She knows that eggs should not be put in the same basket, and she also knows that the distribution of industries should be divided into important and unimportant ones. It seems that she has been following her father in business since she was a child. It is definitely not empty talk, and she has learned a lot of skills. Miss Yan boasted at the Chamber of Commerce that she would open 12 branches within half a year, and the total profit of the Chamber of Commerce would exceed 30%, right? Wei Hong asked again. Yan King's smile froze. The joy on her face faded, revealing a bitter look as she said, King knows that it is not good to brag like this. It is a blessing that the new store is not losing money. It is extremely difficult to achieve a 30% profit within half a year. But if I don't brag a little, I am afraid. No need to explain. Wei Hong raised his hand to stop him and said, I don't mean to blame you, I just want to discuss a new business with you. New business? Yan King and shopkeeper Zhao immediately became interested. Wei Hong took out a brocade box and pushed it in front of the two of them, saying, Look, this is a pill made by a friend of mine. Pill. The two opened the brocade box in surprise, and saw 3 red spherical pills lying inside. What kind of pill is this? Shopkeeper Zhao couldn't help asking, Master Li Wu, are you trying to sell secret medicine secretly? No. Wei Hong waved his hand and said, the secret medicine is controlled by major forces. How dare you and I touch it casually? This is aphrodisiac. This. Yan King's pretty face turned red. Shopkeeper Zhao also looked embarrassed and depressed. They thought Wei Hong wanted to talk about some big business. Why such a low-class thing? Why? Don't you think highly of it? Wei Hong raised his eyebrows and sneered, as long as it's not against the law, what can be sold? Aren't you going to open a drugstore? There shouldn't be a shortage of this kind of medicine. Of course. Shopkeeper Zhao took a sip of wine and said with a smile, aphrodisiacs are indeed a big source of income for drugstores. We will naturally sell them, but what's so special about your medicine, Master Li Wu? Wei Hong knew what the other party meant by implicitly rejecting him. However, he was not annoyed, but just smiled and said, aphrodisiacs on the market are either fake or stimulate the blood, and the more you take them, the weaker you become. Shopkeeper Zhao is also a man, so you should understand, right? Haha. Shopkeeper Zhao smiled awkwardly and dared not say more. Wei Hong continued, and the 3 kinds of elixirs in front of you are good things that can warm up the blood, have powerful effects, and help men regain their virility. There are absolutely no side effects. Really? Shopkeeper Zhao's eyes lit up, and his gaze towards the brocade box was already a little hot. After a while, he coughed lightly to cover up his embarrassment. Second miss, although this thing is not elegant, if it is really as Master Li said, it is not an ordinary aphrodisiac. It will definitely be sought after. Yan King suppressed her shame. She couldn't help but nodded in agreement. Everyone knows that there are many strong men in the capital of the gods, and there are also many powerful and wealthy families. These people are all good at eating, drinking, playing, and sleeping with women. If there is anything that is most attractive to them, it is nothing more than medicine that can nourish their own essence and blood and make them regain their style. This is not selling medicine, this is the sexual happiness of the powerful. Master Li, how much does this medicine cost? How much should it be sold for? Yan King quickly lost his shyness when talking about business, and became more serious. This medicine is made from common herbs such as wild ginseng, astragalus, animal blood, and white atractylodes. A total of 36 herbs are used, and the cost is about 2 taels per piece. If it is made on a large scale, it can be reduced. Wei Hong analyzed seriously. As for the selling price, it must not be sold for less than 300 taels. 300 taels. Yan King and shopkeeper Zhao gasped in shock. He dared to sell it for 300 taels with a cost of less than 2 taels? Is this crazy? Master Li Wu, you may not know how to do business. Shopkeeper Zhao said with a wry smile, business is not done this way. It is feasible for you to sell 300 to 500 taels with a cost of 2 taels. If the price is too high, you will not be able to retain customers. Shopkeeper Zhao, it is you who do not know how to do business. Wei Hong sneered, the most important thing in doing business is to find the right target customers. We cannot focus on the common people. We have to go the high-end route. A medicine of several hundred taels per pill seems sky-high to you, but it is barely edible to the powerful and wealthy. The powerful and wealthy have always only eaten expensive things instead of the right ones. Our elixir is both effective and prestigious. We just need to package it well and make it famous. It would be strange if they don't rush to buy it. And we can't tell people that the cost is low. You have to say that we use 100-year-old mountain ginseng, 50-year-old astragalus, and precious beast blood to make it. We cry that our profits are meager. If it weren't for giving him face, we wouldn't want to sell it. We have to limit purchases every day. Do you understand? Wei Hong talked freely. He directly passed on some of his business experiences that were common in his previous life. Yan King and shopkeeper Zhao were immediately stunned. The two listened with fascination, their eyes shining from time to time. In short, Wei Hong concluded, the efficacy of the elixir is guaranteed, the packaging must be in place, and the price must be high-end. You just wait to make a lot of money. Yan King is a talented woman who has been doing business since childhood. She understood Wei Hong's plan at once, and the more she thought about it, the more she felt it made sense. She couldn't help but sigh with surprise. Great, great. I was originally worried that the King Chamber of Commerce would be suppressed by the Hongaian Chamber of Commerce, but now we can vigorously develop cloth embroidery in public, and secretly sell medicine, and take a broad road. You are smart. Wei Hong couldn't help but laugh. Then, the three of them talked more and more excitedly. From how to sell to how to keep it confidential, and how to divide it, they probably figured out a rule. Chapter 144, Listening to Music in the Brothel, and Taking the Powerful Vajra Pill. On the 7th day of September, the King Chamber of Commerce was officially established. Yan King spent a lot of money to rent a 3-story shop on North Street as the headquarters. More than a dozen branches involving various trades opened at the same time, and the beating of gongs and drums made a lot of noise. Her move to join the Xianji Business Alliance was correct. On the opening day, the shopkeepers of the major merchants in the Business Alliance sent people to congratulate. For a time, the King Chamber of Commerce became famous and its reputation quickly spread. At first glance, it seems to be thriving, but I don't know how long this prosperity can last. A pharmacy under the name of the King Chamber of Commerce happened to open opposite Zhuji meat shop. In a small shop, the front hall sells medicine and the backyard dries medicinal materials. 7 or 8 young boys and girls are busy, among whom Qiuju is prominent. She is no longer an embroiderer, but has been promoted to the shopkeeper of a branch. Qiuju was not qualified to run a branch, but Wei Hong deliberately suggested to Yan King that any branch selling aphrodisiacs should use a female shopkeeper, so she just had the opportunity to get promoted. Why use female shopkeepers? Wei Hong naturally has his own considerations. He wants to create a high-end and classy aphrodisiac brand. He deliberately hired a group of young female shop assistants to sell medicine. On the one hand, they can act as a shield, and on the other hand, they can block some prying eyes, and even customers who come to buy medicine are embarrassed to bargain. Isn't it wonderful to kill 3 birds with 1 stone? By the way, Qiuju took advantage of it. She used to work hard every day as an embroiderer and didn't make much money. Now that she is the shopkeeper of a branch store, her income has naturally increased a lot. She can also take time to take care of Grandma Wang and practice martial arts. Her life is getting more and more promising, and she never stops smiling every day. Free time. Qiuju hurriedly carried a large pot and walked to the butcher shop, smiling like a flower, saying, "Brother Wei, are you thirsty? The weather has been dry recently, so I asked someone to boil herbal tea. Everyone come and have a cup." "Oh, Sister Qiuju is still good to us." Luan Zioki and other teenagers laughed and joked. Wei Hong took a bowl of herbal tea, took a sip and asked, How is business? There seem to be quite a few customers this early in the morning. Business is average. Kyuju said with a frown. The competition in the medicine shop is fierce. The customers who come in the morning just buy some cheap ointments. We are not familiar with the medicinal materials. We almost made a fool of ourselves several times. I feel a little ashamed of the second lady's cultivation. What are you afraid of? Take your time. Wei Hong comforted casually. Yours is just a simple medicine shop. Without a doctor, the business will inevitably be worse. It is not a problem to do some small business with the neighbors. If you are not familiar with the medicinal materials, just remember them. Yes. Kyuju nodded seriously and smiled. The second lady has sent someone to invite the old pharmacist to come and share his experience. We will work hard to learn to identify the medicinal materials. After that, the little girl returned to the medicine shop excitedly. It was not clear that Yan King did not expect to make money by selling medicinal materials. This store was just a place for Wei Hong to sell aphrodisiacs to make money. Horizontal ellipsis. At night, Anlafeng East Street, Chunfang Tower. Wei Hong and shopkeeper Zhao walked hand in hand into this place full of beautiful women, seeking pleasure and living a life of luxury. Hey, isn't this shopkeeper Zhao? The madam came up to him cheerfully and said enthusiastically, you haven't been here for a while, Wei Hong misses you so much? Ahem. Shopkeeper Zhao glanced at Wei Hong awkwardly, then smiled and said, nonsense, I don't come here often, Madam Li, don't talk nonsense. Yes, you don't come here often. The madam smiled and said, is this your friend? Yes. Shopkeeper Zhao knew that he didn't want to reveal his identity, so he smiled and said, this is my brother Li. Quickly ask the girls to come over and ask for a private room. Oh, yes, find a courtesan for brother Li, he has plenty of money today. Okay, please. The madam asked the servant to invite them upstairs while arranging for the girls to accompany them. Soon, in the private room on the left side of the second floor, Wei Hong and shopkeeper Zhao each hugged 2 or 3 gorgeous beauties and began a decadent and happy life. Drank some wine and listened to some songs. From time to time, a few dirty words made the beauties laugh. The nightlife in ancient times was so simple and unpretentious. As long as you have money, you can do whatever you want here. Master Li Wu, is it fun? Shopkeeper Zhao took 2 sips of wine, and his face was red. I think you are a nice person. If you don't mind, we brothers should come to drink more in the future. Ha ha ha. Wei Hong laughed dumbly. Of course I won't mind. Come on, keep drinking. We won't go home until we are drunk tonight. You two are really amazing. I'll toast you a glass. Oh my, you have a good alcohol tolerance. I'll pour wine for you. The girls on the side continued to persuade them to drink. This is also their way of making money. When the guests drink too much, the brothel can make a high price for the wine. Secondly, if the drunken customers stay in the brothel, they will not be tortured to death, and they can also collect overnight fees, so why not? Wei Hong saw through it but did not say anything. He just smiled and lifted the chin of a courtesan and asked, Miss, do you want to make a little money? What do you mean, sir? The courtesan smiled and said, do you want to try something special? Let me make it clear first, I won't play anything too extreme. The beautiful women laughed softly with their lips covered. Wei Hong took out the brocade box and said, what good things are you thinking about? I just want you to find a few rich people to try the medicine. Poisoning. Everyone's face changed drastically. Shopkeeper Zhao sneered, what kind of poison? We are from the King Chamber of Commerce. Recently, the Chamber of Commerce has developed a warming and strengthening medicine. This medicine is called the Dolly King Kong pill. It is made from more than 100 kinds of precious medicinal materials. Each pill can keep a man awake all night and full of energy. It can also nourish the blood. This kind of good thing should not be tried out by experts like you. Hate it, it turns out to be aphrodisiac. Oh my, are you two trying to kill us? Hey, you two should really ask us. Dolly King Kong pill? It sounds scary. How strong must it be? The courtesans laughed. The green-skirted woman in Wei Hong's arms also laughed and joked, if your aphrodisiac is really that good, how can we thank us? Customers must torture us to death after buying your medicine. Only fools would do that if there is no benefit. That's right, we are not stupid. You two masters are not too stingy, right? Everyone started bargaining. Wei Hong was not polite at all. He directly threw out a stack of silver bills and said, Inform your little sisters, each of you will find a rich businessman to deliver medicine. The pills will be free, and each person will be paid 500 taels as a reward. Remember to brag about us. The King Chamber of Commerce will not treat you unfairly. 500 taels? So much? Oh my god, we did it. Give me one, and I'll find a dead ghost to try too. The girls scrambled for it excitedly. Chapter 145 The Idea of the Death Squad, the Fourth Blood Transfusion. After a night, the battle in Chunfeng building was fierce. Many wealthy businessmen who were weak in the kidneys still insisted on going out to fool around. After being coaxed by the courtesans in the brothel, they swallowed the powerful King Kong pill. In less than a cup of tea, they felt a rolling warm current flowing through their bodies, which not only replenished their blood and qi, but also made them energetic as if they were back to the age of 18 or 19. That night, dozens of girls in Chunfeng building were almost unable to get out of bed. Some wealthy businessmen regained their male power and ordered several courtesans in one breath. After a night of fierce fighting, they were not tired at all, but were full of energy and held their heads high. They had a lot more things to talk about when bragging to their friends. For a while, the powerful King Kong pill in the King Chamber of Commerce's pharmacy quietly became popular. Because it was an aphrodisiac, these wealthy businessmen were embarrassed to spread it around, but only boasted in their own small circles. They also secretly sent their servants to buy the medicine from the pharmacy, so it didn't make a big fuss. Yan King always kept Wei Hong's instructions in mind. He constantly had the shop assistants emphasize to the customers how precious the ingredients were, how high the cost was, and how exquisite the packaging was, which naturally made the wealthy and powerful feel that it was worth the money. In addition, this pill recipe was made by Wei Hong with his divine doctor-level skills. It is not easy for outsiders to imitate it. Under the condition that the cost and profit are not exposed, even if the effect of the Vajra pill is amazing, no one will go to great lengths to seize it. In short, under Wei Hong's deliberate suppression, he and Yan King both embarked on the path of making a fortune in silence, and it is not an exaggeration to describe it as making a fortune every day. Now 20% of the monthly profit of King Chamber of Commerce belongs to Wei Hong. In addition, he buys the medicinal materials for the Vajra pill and boils it himself. After the pill is sold, 80% of the profit belongs to him. This is the real wealth. The King Chamber of Commerce now has 3 pharmacies under its name. The mighty diamond pills are distributed in the 3 pharmacies for sale. Each pharmacy sells 100 pills per month, and the total is 300 pills. When the cost is so low that it can be ignored, the total price of 300 pills is 90,000 taels, and the profit of 80% is 72,000 taels. Wei Hong secretly calculated in his mind and was shocked by himself. The income of 70,000 taels a month is more profitable than many medium-sized chambers of commerce. He just spent some worthless time, and the profit is hundreds of times greater than that of the beast blood pill. Just thinking about it makes people's scalps numb. I still have to keep a low profile. If the news leaks out, I'm afraid that Li Tizhu, the personal guard of Prince Duan's palace, will not be able to cover it up. Wei Hong secretly warned himself. There are many hidden dragons and crouching tigers in the divine capital, and his little achievement is nothing. But time is always on his side. As long as he continues to accumulate wealth and foundation, sooner or later he will be better than anyone else and become stronger than anyone else. How should I spend so much money? Wei Hong soon fell into happy distress again. He has never been a person who covets enjoyment. The braised meat stalls on the street are not worse than the delicacies in the big restaurants, and the coarse cloth clothes are more comfortable than silk and satin. He used to worry about money every day because he was poor, but now that he has money, he feels very distressed and doesn't know how to spend it. Buy a big house? No need. Grandpa was already very nervous living in Xianbao Lane. If he bought a bigger house, he would not be comfortable living there, and he would have to find a lot of people to serve and clean it, which would simply add inconvenience to himself and even easily expose his secrets. Buy weapons and mounts? No need. His existing weapons plus the scale armored horse are enough for transportation. No matter how powerful the magic weapon is, it must be suitable for him. After thinking about it, Wei Hong couldn't think of where to spend so much money every month. Finally, a crazy idea suddenly popped up in his mind. Maybe he should train a group of dead soldiers. The powerful and wealthy in the world exploit the common people, relying on 3 things: power, financial resources, and force. Wei Hong has no intention of fighting for power, and he doesn't care much about financial resources. Although he can rely on his own force to become stronger, there are always places that he can't take care of. What if he suddenly has a conflict with a certain force or is remembered by someone? What if one day he wants to do something big, and there is no one around him to drive? If one day he breaks through the innate and encounters the immortal fate, he needs to go far away to seek immortality. Who will take care of his relatives? Thinking of this, the hazy thoughts in his mind gradually became firm. Wei Hong found that he should indeed make some investments for the future. I don't know how many people can be supported by spending tens of thousands of taels of silver every month. Since he can't spend it all, why not adopt a bunch of orphans and train them into dead soldiers? First, it gives orphans in war a way to survive. Second, it also accumulates a hidden power for himself. No matter who he will be enemies with in the future, a group of death warriors who are only loyal to him will always be reassuring. Maybe they can become the basis for him to turn against any force. It's interesting. Wei Hong couldn't help but chuckle. However, it is not easy to form a death warrior organization. First of all, a lot of money and energy must be invested, and someone must help to supervise and train them, and a quick method must be found. If he wants to train a group of death warriors to be killers, he must teach them how to kill. If he just wants to train a group of death warriors to collect intelligence, he must teach them how to conceal their breath, disguise, poison, etc. In short, it must be a huge effort. Don't worry, I'll plan it slowly in the future. Wei Hong rubbed his temple to comfort himself. He knew that this kind of thing can't be rushed, and he must consider everything carefully before taking action. At night, Xianbao Lane, Wei's house. While Wei Hong was doing his daily exercises, he suddenly felt a throbbing in his blood. He looked at the 100 out of 100 progress bar of the late blood refining realm on the attribute board and couldn't help but smile. There were a lot of things going on these days, so his exercises were delayed. But after so much hard work, he finally reached the breakthrough level. Tonight is a good day for him to complete the 4th blood exchange. Let's start. Wei Hong roared and decisively added 1,000 vitality points to his health. Boom. A powerful force surged into his body, constantly strengthening his blood and making the blood in his body flow through his blood vessels like a big river. Boom. Boom. A heart began to beat strongly. Every time the blood flowed through the heart, it seemed to undergo some transformation. His flesh, blood, bones, and cells were all changing. Wei Hong sat cross-legged on the ground and silently recited the Kingsanju, feeling the process of blood exchange over and over again, and he had a deeper understanding of the powerful potential of the human body. This breakthrough lasted for more than an hour. At midnight, Wei Hong suddenly opened his eyes. His body seemed to have broken free of some kind of shackles, and he exuded a terrifying aura comparable to that of a ferocious beast, and his strength increased exponentially. Chapter 146. A visitor at midnight, Wei Hong escort agency. Blood refining realm is perfect, 12,000 Jin arm strength. In the training room, Wei Hong silently felt his own changes. After he completed the 4th blood exchange, the defense of the membrane, blood and flesh increased again. At this moment, it is not an exaggeration to say that he is indestructible and invulnerable. In addition, his blood has become more powerful. The dark energy that can be carried is also more fierce. 4 sections of dark energy can burst out with a raise of his hand, just like a surging river that directly submerges and crushes the enemy. In addition, the strength of his single arm has exceeded 12,000 Jin. Although there is no heavy enough weight to measure accurately. But Wei Hong has very accurate control over his body. He can roughly estimate his fist strength by clenching his fist. Now he has almost reached 2.5 times the strength of an ordinary blood refining realm peak martial artist. And this is not his limit. Wei Hong can exchange blood again. When he reaches the peak of the real blood refining realm, it is unknown how strong he will be. Such a terrifying foundation is his reliance for entering the bone refining realm in the future. Wei Hong exhaled a long breath of exhaust gas, and got up contentedly to rest. But just as he pushed open the door of the training room, a little bluebird fluttered down from the sky in the night, stood on his shoulder and chirped. Area number 2, is there an unknown person watching? Wei Hong pieced together a bird's language from its brief call. This was the first batch of birds he had just domesticated. On weekdays, he placed them in several important places to watch, and once he found a special situation, they would come to find him. After long-term training, these smart birds can deal with most situations and distinguish whether there are enemies. The area number 2 it mentioned is the headquarters of the King Chamber of Commerce. Ever since killing Mu Sui, Yan King has reminded him many times to be careful. It seems that the other party really has some background. I don't know who wants to seek revenge on him. Well done, go. Wei Hong took out a handful of rice from the small cloth bag on his waist and rewarded it. The little bluebird happily pecked it clean and disappeared into the night. Then, he disguised himself as Li Tizhu and rushed out of the house. The capital of the gods was still cold and quiet in the middle of the night. Except for some brothel streets with lights, other streets and alleys were all dark. From time to time, soldiers in armor and sharp weapons would pass by. Wei Hong walked in the shadows like a ghost. Soon he arrived at the North Street where the King Chamber of Commerce was located quietly. He did not approach rashly, but quietly went to a high place to search for the enemy. Soon he saw a figure standing in the alley diagonally opposite the Chamber of Commerce, with his eyes fixed on the direction of the Chamber of Commerce. This was a woman, and her appearance was not very clear. But from her figure, it can be seen that she should be young. She stayed there for a long time, and there was no movement. But just when Wei Hong couldn't bear it anymore and was about to take her down for questioning, she finally turned and walked towards the southwest. Early stage of blood refining. Wei Hong saw the other party's strength at a glance. Therefore, he followed without hesitation, wanting to see who it was. Soon he followed the woman and arrived at a large house. It was located on the edge of Lin Lane on West Street. It occupied a large area and had 2 very lavish stone lions at the door. With the help of the red lantern at the gate, he saw 4 big characters written on it, Wei Hong Escort Agency. Squeak. The woman entered the escort agency from the side door. Only then did Wei Hong see clearly that this was a young woman wearing a blue outfit, with a slender figure and a pretty face, probably in her 20s. After a moment of silence, Wei Hong still climbed over the wall and followed her quietly. The escort agency, like the martial arts hall, was a place where martial arts were practiced and strong people were everywhere. However, with his current strength, he had his own pride and dared to break into most places in the capital. Due to the huge gap in strength between the 2 sides, the woman in blue didn't realize that someone was following her. When she walked into a small courtyard with candlelight, she couldn't help crying softly. "Junior sister, where did you go in the middle of the night?" An anxious male voice came from inside the house. "I didn't see you when I came over just now, I was scared." "Senior brother, I'm sorry, I just couldn't help but go out for a walk." The woman in blue sobbed softly. "Alice, you must have gone to the King Chamber of Commerce, right?" The man said with a wry smile, "I've told you not to go there, it's easy to alert the enemy, why can't you help it?" "Don't worry, senior brother." The woman in blue said aggrievedly, "I just took a look from a distance, I didn't do anything, and no one found me. It's good that you know it in your heart." The man continued to persuade, "Senior Mu is the leader of the older generation of our escort agency. Although he has retired long ago, we can't ignore this matter. Now the head of the escort is far away in another state to escort the escort, and he can't come back in a short time. How dare you and I do it casually? I heard that the backers behind the King Chamber of Commerce are ruthless and powerful. It's better for you and me not to alert the enemy first. Just wait quietly for the head of the escort to come back. Why worry about not having a chance to take revenge?" Behind a big tree outside the courtyard, Wei Hong listened to the conversation between the 2 silently, and couldn't help but frown secretly. It was indeed the trouble caused by Mu Sui's death. If he hadn't specially sent birds to spy everywhere, it would have been difficult to find the other party. At that time, the enemy will be in the dark while he will be in the light. I am afraid that he will fall into the trap easily. Now that we know their existence, it can be regarded as destiny. Don't worry, senior brother, Yanner understands. The blue-clothed woman spoke again in grief and anger, but I can't imagine that my grandfather, who has been giving face to everyone for most of his life, would be beaten to death by a punch. How can the person who did it be so cruel? This kind of beast, I will definitely let him taste the pain of the death of his relatives. Yes, this person really deserves to be killed. The male voice continued to denounce, he can kill an old man. Even if he fights, he won't take his life. Junior sister, don't worry, senior brother will cut the other party into pieces even if he risks his life. Senior brother, you are so good. In the small courtyard, the 2 of them were together again. Wei Hong couldn't help but chuckle. It turned out that Mu Sui had a granddaughter, and her granddaughter had a dog following her. If he let it go on, I don't know how many people would be pulled out to deal with him. If you don't root out the weeds, they will grow again in the spring breeze. If your grandfather dares to take the order from Hongyan Chamber of Commerce, he must be prepared to die. How can you blame me if something goes wrong? Look, isn't this forcing me to take action? Wei Hong sighed in his heart, pushed open the gate and walked in. Who? The two people who were hugging each other and talking to each other were startled. Just as they were about to shout, two black iron plum blossom needles instantly pierced their larynxes. The pain made them gasp and their voices were suppressed. Then Wei Hong approached like a ghost. In a few seconds, he dislocated the joints of the two people's limbs and completely controlled them. Please vote, support, and read more. Chapter 147, Forced Confession and Interrogation. The head escort Shonggang. Who are you? On the cold stone floor of the courtyard, the blue-clothed woman and a tall and thin young man in brocade clothes were already controlled by the broken bones. They could not move their bodies, and even their throats were pierced by the black iron plum blossom needles and could not shout. They could only make some subtle hoarse voices to question. The two pairs of eyes were now filled with a trace of fear. Obviously, they could not understand why someone could break into their own escort agency and easily imprison and control them. Did you want to find me just now? Wei Hong said with a smile. How come I don't recognize me when I stand in front of you? You? Are you the bronze-masked man who killed my grandfather? The blue-clothed woman took a breath of cold air, and a trace of fear suddenly flashed in her eyes. She suddenly realized that maybe she had just gone out for a walk, but she had been spotted and brought back by the other party. Isn't this too scary? She didn't say or do anything, just stood near the King Chamber of Commerce and took a few glances. Why did the other party follow her so confidently? Then, the blue-clothed woman's eyes were filled with hatred. She gasped and gritted her teeth and said, "You beast, you will not die well for killing my grandfather. I will not let you go. Your grandfather took money from others to help others get rid of disasters. He deserved to be beaten to death because he was not capable. How can you blame others?" Wei Hong asked jokingly with a smile. "I don't care who is right or wrong." The blue-clothed woman's eyes were full of resentment. "You should kill my grandfather. Do you know how hard he worked to bring me up? He is my only relative." "Okay, I understand." Wei Hong shrugged and was too lazy to say anything more. He also has a grandfather. If his grandfather was killed one day, he would definitely want revenge no matter what the reason. So he was right in this matter, and the other party was also right. It was all because the other party was not capable enough and had to force himself to come forward, so that he ended up dying in his later years. It was also because the blue-clothed woman was not capable enough and did not know how to lurk in secret, and had to dance in front of him. Therefore, she must die today. But before dying, Wei Hong still needed to ask some questions. He glanced at the young man in brocade clothes and asked with a sneer, "What's the name of the escort leader you just mentioned, and how strong is he?" "Our escort leader is called Shonggang, 43 years old, with the strength of the initial stage of bone refining realm, good at palm and body skills, and nicknamed the river-breaking bear king in the martial arts world." The young man in brocade clothes begged for mercy and fear. "Master, please let me go. I've told you everything. This matter has nothing to do with me." "You? Su Ming, you coward." The woman in blue was so angry that she almost vomited blood. "I'm sorry, junior sister. I didn't want to do that either." The young man in brocade clothes said shamefully, I don't want to die. I am the only son of my father." Haha. Wei Hong curled his lips and smiled. "You're so tactful. Tell me about the situation of Wei Hong Escort Agency. How many bone refining realm experts are there?" "There are a total of 3 bone refining realm experts in our escort agency." The young man in brocade clothes spoke like a bamboo tube pouring beans. "They are my father, my second uncle, and the chief escort Shonggang. The escort agency was founded by my grandfather. Over the years, my father and second uncle have gradually lost interest in traveling around the country. They are keen to get involved in other industries to make quick money. The position of chief escort fell on Shonggang. Shonggang is a domineering and arrogant person. He has always looked down on my father and others. He thinks that they are indulging in sensual pleasures and have no future. Therefore, they have always been at odds with each other. Master, please don't kill me. I was just horny and coaxed this stupid woman. We, the Su family, dare not get involved in such things. Please let me go. Spare my life." The young man in brocade clothes kept wailing and begging for mercy. The blue-clothed woman's face suddenly turned pale. She obviously didn't expect that the man who had been whispering to her and swore to avenge her just a moment ago would sell her out completely. "You are smart." Wei Hong laughed dumbly. He could tell at a glance that the young man in brocade clothes was not lying. This guy seemed to be a bootlicker, but he was actually very smart. He could flatter women with sweet words, but he would never risk his life to be the boss. Of course, Wei Hong didn't believe him completely. After asking a few simple questions, he probably made up his mind. "What is the relationship between Shanggang and Mu Sui?" Wei Hong asked again. "Master and disciple." The young man in brocade clothes quickly replied, "Mu Sui, the old man, has been in the escort business for most of his life. He has trained many disciples, but most of them are not very promising. Shanggang is the most promising among his many disciples, and he is also the most loyal. The two of them are almost like father and son. That is to say, other people may not care about Mu Sui's death, but Shanggang will definitely not let it go, right?" Wei Hong asked back. "Yes." The young man in brocade clothes thought for a while and said, "But he can't mobilize many people. It's understandable that the escorts make money by escorting, but they are not willing to help him seek revenge and kill people. At most, he has a few confidants around him who can be mobilized. Most of them are in the blood refining realm and the skin refining realm. There is no need to worry. In addition, he is secretly escorting a batch of very important supplies. Even if he receives the news of Old Man Mu's death, it will take 2 or 3 months to return to the capital. During this period of time, no one dares to touch the King Chamber of Commerce. Okay." Wei Hong smiled with satisfaction and raised his hand to knock him out. It was not easy for him to kill innocent people if the other party was so sensible. Isn't it just to save his life after saying so many twists and turns? Just help him. Anyway, if he lies, Wei Hong can kill him at any time. But if he doesn't lie, saving his life can also save 2 bone refining realm enemies. It's comfortable to chat with smart people. Wei Hong smiled with satisfaction, and looked at the woman in blue again. "So now it's your turn. You beast, you will not die well, I will not let you go even if I play tricks." The woman in blue cursed angrily, obviously not intending to give in. Wei Hong didn't care whether she wanted to give in or not. He raised his hand and slapped her on the forehead. Puff. 4 terrifying dark forces blasted down like a tide. The blue-clothed woman's head was like a watermelon, and the inside instantly turned into paste. Her pair of resentful eyes quickly lost their vitality, and finally fell to one side and died completely. Wei Hong clapped his hands and stood up. Then he said nonchalantly to the person behind him, "You have been watching for so long, do you want to come out and chat? I can't sleep in the middle of the night, please do as you please." A voice that could not be heard was faint. Then the sense of being watched disappeared without a trace. Obviously, this person was probably the elder of the young man in brocade clothes. Seeing that his nephew was not in danger, he was too lazy to provoke an unpredictable opponent like Wei Hong. The two sides tacitly did not meet. Wei Hong smiled with satisfaction, turned around and disappeared into the night. Chapter 148 Killing 3 birds with 1 stone, isn't that wonderful? Overnight, the Wei Hong escort agency was peaceful and calm. Perhaps because someone deliberately suppressed it, the death of the woman in blue was not leaked out, and everything was as if it had never happened. Wei Hong specially sent a few small green birds to keep an eye on the escort agency. After confirming that it was safe, he still felt insecure. It can be confirmed that Mu Sui's death provoked a strong man in the early stage of the bone refining realm, Shanggang. It is still unknown how strong this man is, but those who can still lead people to escort and deliver goods in this year are often ruthless characters who lick blood on the blade. Wei Hong now dares to say that he is invincible in the blood refining realm. If he really encounters an opponent in the early stage of the bone refining realm, he will not be too panicked. But Shanggang has his trusted subordinates around him. Once they launch a large-scale revenge against the King Chamber of Commerce, Wei Hong is afraid that he will not be able to resist with 2 fists and 4 hands. At least it will not be easy to protect his own industry. So, we still have to cultivate some talents of our own. The idea that grew in Wei Hong's heart became stronger and stronger. In fact, he had raised Luan Zioki and other young men and women in Renai Elaine before. They could barely be considered the most basic training of death warriors. Although they were not brainwashed, they could still be trusted to do some trivial things. Now he can earn more than 70,000 taels of silver every month by selling the powerful diamond pills. How many people can such a large amount of income support? It is not a problem to secretly train hundreds of death warriors, right? If he encounters a potential enemy like Wei Hong escort agency again, why should he be so cautious? With a command, hundreds of death warriors can rush into the escort agency in the dark of night and easily kill them all. I am still too weak, but training a group of people who can be used is also a great help. I can make some plans. After some contemplation, Wei Hong looked at Lun Xiaoqi. This guy lost his father and mother at a young age and raised several younger brothers and sisters alone. He has a very high prestige among the young men and women in the slums. He is also very skillful in working in the butcher shop. He and Li Daniu have become his right-hand men. Moreover, he has a very high talent for martial arts, and has now entered the middle stage of the skin refining realm. As long as there are enough resources to support him, it will be easy for him to enter the blood refining realm and bone refining realm in the future. At the same time, this guy is still passionate as a teenager. Every day, he either thinks about joining the army to fight for a fame or joining a gang to fight for a future. If his younger brothers and sisters were not still young and could not leave, he would never be an honest butcher. In this case, why doesn't Wei Hong let him help him train his death warriors? In this way, he can find something to do and have a trustworthy person to help him. Isn't it wonderful to kill 3 birds with 1 stone? After making up his mind, Wei Hong decisively found Lun Xiaoqi during his free time at noon. "Brother Hong, are you looking for me?" Wei Hong and Lun Xiaoqi sat opposite each other at the stone table in the backyard of the butcher shop, just like he and Zhu Sihei did back then. There was also a pot of clear tea on the stone table. After Wei Hong poured him a cup of tea, he smiled and said, "I'm going to ask you to help me do something. I wonder if you are willing." Lun Xiaoqi looked at him strangely and said unhappily, "What do you mean, Hong brother? Why should we be polite to each other? We all know how you have treated us over the years. Just tell us what to do. We can take our lives." Wei Hong smiled silently when he heard this. He knew that Lun Xiaoqi was not just talking nonsense. These young people were all simple and grateful. Even if he asked them to draw their knives and chop people now, they would not frown. This was the reward for him renting a yard in Renai Lane and spending money to train them. They are absolutely loyal and righteous, at least they have not been polluted by the world. I made a fortune recently. Wei Hong took a sip of tea and said in a deep voice, "It just so happens that there are not many people around me, so I want to train a group of my own people. Death warriors." Lun Xiaoqi's eyes suddenly lit up. "You can say that." Wei Hong nodded. "Great." Lun Xiaoqi lowered his voice excitedly and said, "The great heroes in the storyteller's stories always train a large number of loyal soldiers while improving their own strength. All major forces do the same, so you also want to dominate the world, right? Are you sick?" Wei Hong asked in astonishment. He suddenly regretted why he asked such a middle school boy for help. So the other party actually has the dream of dominating the world? If you don't want to fight for hegemony, why do you want to train death warriors? Lun Xiaoqi said unconvincedly, "Isn't this just a waste of time? I have never been interested in fighting for hegemony, I am only interested in making myself stronger." Wei Hong said in a deep voice, "I don't even care about pleasure, power, and women. I train a group of death warriors just to help me collect intelligence at critical moments, or to get rid of some troublesome potential opponents, so as to better protect my family. It is understandable that men are born into the world with the idea of making achievements and leaving their names in history, but this kind of thing is too empty. Being too obsessed with empty names can easily put oneself in an irretrievable situation. A mature man must learn to grasp everything around him, such as your relatives, your lover, and your career. Do you understand? Reborn." Wei Hong's thinking is completely that of a man in his 30s or 40s. The passionate boy Lun Xiaoqi, who was 16 or 17 years old, was ignorant and obviously didn't quite understand these words, but he silently kept these words in his heart, waiting for years to settle down and gain some understanding. In short, Wei Hong said seriously, killing pigs is for living, training death warriors is also for living. If you don't want to, I can find other people. Yes, why not? Lun Xiaoqi laughed and said, "Training death warriors will kill people sooner or later, which is much more interesting than killing pigs here. I can't go to the battlefield to make achievements in my life, nor can I kill people in the gang. It's interesting to help you train a group of people. Okay. Wei Hong nodded and said, but this is just a preliminary idea. How to implement it has not been figured out yet. How to select people and how to secretly place them, how to maintain daily life, and how to supply martial arts secret medicines must be carefully considered. You go back and prepare first. Okay. Luan Zioki nodded solemnly. He naturally knew what Wei Hong meant by preparation. If you want to train a group of death warriors, you must have the absolute strength to suppress the opponent. If you are too weak, the wolf cubs you raise will bite back the master. This matter will be kept secret for the time being. It will start in 10 days or half a month at the fastest, or 3 to 5 months at the slowest. Wei Hong ordered in a deep voice, let the brothers practice martial arts hard. You may all have to be transferred away by then. I will recruit people to help the butcher shop. Yes. Luan Zioki nodded solemnly. In a few words, the conspiracy was finalized. The two of them probably didn't know what kind of mysterious and terrifying organization this conversation would create in the future. Chapter 149 The Secret Art of Blood Fusion, Helping Things Grow Faster. Next, Wei Hong resumed his busy life. He got up in the middle of the night to work at the butcher shop, went to the palace farm outside the city to practice in the early morning, occasionally trained birds, went to the palace scripture pavilion to read in the afternoon, and had to return to the Wei residence in the evening to practice hard for a while before he was willing to rest. The sleep time every day was less than an hour. But even so, he was energetic every day. His strength was growing at an astonishing rate. Wei Hong hoped to break through to the bone refining realm before Shanggang came back. By then, no matter how famous he was, he could not resist the power of his punch. However, the closer he got to the peak of the blood refining realm, the slower his progress was. He did not force himself to do so, but just insisted on practicing hard every day. In fact, most of his energy was put into training dead soldiers. Site selection, personnel selection, martial arts, food and medicine, etc. must be considered in advance. These trivial matters were not assured to be handed over to others, so he could only think about them carefully. But fortunately, money can make the devil push the mill. King Chamber of Commerce is dabbling in various industries. Most of the things Wei Hong needs can be secretly prepared by them. As for the skills, they naturally had to be in the Wangfu Sutra Pavilion. He went in and out of this place every day to check the skills and various practice notes, and finally found a method that was very suitable for training dead men blood melting secret art. The magic sect skills have always been known for their powerful, quick success, and overdrawn potential. This blood melting secret art is a very typical example. It is not a main practice method, but only an auxiliary static practice. Anyone who practices this skill can squeeze their potential to the limit, improve their own talents, and increase their practice speed by 3 to 10 times, becoming stronger at a speed far beyond that of ordinary people. The only drawback is that those who use this method will lose their lifespan. Using this method in the skin refining realm will lose 10 years of lifespan. Using this method in the blood refining realm will lose 20 years of lifespan. Using this method in the bone refining realm will lose 40 years of lifespan. As for the higher refining realm, no one should be able to reach it. After all, the life limit is only 100 years. No matter how crazy a person is, it is impossible to practice this evil art from childhood. The Sutra Pavilion in Prince Duan's mansion has collected secret books from various sects in the martial arts world. This magic sect technique is just the most inconspicuous one, but it is the most suitable for Wei Hong. If this kind of practice is not suspected of forcing growth. With Wei Hong's character that has no shortage of life, he must practice it himself. However, the side effects of the blood fusion secret technique are still too great. He doesn't want to work hard to cultivate a bunch of short-lived species, so he thinks that after brushing the technique to the limit, he will find a way to change one or two, and it is also good to try to reduce some side effects. Since you want to cultivate dead men who conspire on intelligence and assassinate, the quick learning secret method blood melting secret technique is indispensable, and 1,000 changes as a disguise technique must also be matched. In addition, a batch of techniques will be replaced from the Sutra Pavilion in the Prince's mansion every once in a while, which is enough for them to freely choose their main techniques, so that their needs can be met. Wei Hong thought about this clearly and couldn't help laughing. He casually found an excuse to change the blood fusion secret technique. Then he spent tens of thousands of vitality to brush it to the limit. After thoroughly understanding its principles, He began to try to improve it day and night, and tested it with his own body again and again. He found that the secret art of blood fusion was very powerful. It could squeeze the potential in the blood and increase people's potential multiple times out of thin air. All warriors who practiced this method could make use of the tonic ingredients and elixirs to the greatest extent to achieve several times or even dozens of times the speed of practice. Ordinary people may not be able to complete the practice of blood refining after 3 years of strength training, 10 years of skin refining, and 30 years of martial arts practice. During this period, they had to invest a lot of resources, and it was extremely difficult to go all the way. But after practicing the secret art of blood fusion, with the efficiency of martial arts practice increased by 10 times or 8 times, it only takes a few months to complete strength training, a year and a half to complete skin refining, and 3 to 5 years to complete blood refining practice, and it can also save a lot of practice resources. The only drawback is that the lifespan is consumed too much. That is to say, as long as I don't care about the cost, I can definitely train a large number of blood refining realm warriors within 2 years, and a group of bone refining realm warriors within 5 years. Wei Hong secretly calculated for a while, and he was so scared that his scalp was numb. You know, even in the huge Duanwang mansion, there are not many blood refining realm warriors everywhere and bone refining realm warriors as numerous as dogs. The palace has invested huge resources to barely maintain a personal guard of about 500 people. Which of these people has not been trained hard since childhood? Now Wei Hong can reach such a level in a few years. Wouldn't it be shocking to the world if he told others about it? From this, it can be inferred that the powerful families must have hidden power in secret. Wei Hong can think of using this method to train dead soldiers. How can the big families that have been passed down for thousands of years be stupid? They don't care how short-lived the dead soldiers are. The way to go is to train a large number of sharp blades. 3 days later, Wei Hong completed the improvement of the blood fusion secret technique. Thanks to the vitality that can continuously repair injuries, he constantly improved the trajectory of the exercise by himself through physical experiments. After countless injuries, he finally figured out a better and more efficient route. The improved blood melting secret technique is more domineering than before the improvement. At the worst, it can increase the talent by more than 5 times, and at the best, it can reach 20 times. In addition, the disadvantage of reducing lifespan has also been greatly improved, and it is only about 2/3 of the loss of the original technique. That is to say, the original lifespan of practicing in the skin refining realm was reduced by 10 years, and now it is reduced by more than 6 years at most. That night, Wei Hong specially called Luan Xiaoqi to his home and told him about the blood-melting secret technique. Finally, he said earnestly, "We don't have time to spend decades or even hundreds of years to train a group of people, so it is necessary to force them to grow. You can practice this secret technique, or you can choose not to practice it." Not practicing. Luan Xiaoqi grinned and revealed a defiant smile. Damn it, if the effect of the blood fusion secret technique is really that good, why shouldn't I practice it? Am I going to watch a bunch of little brats surpass me in less than a year or two? How can I convince them then? How can I manage them for you? It's up to you. Wei Hong solemnly warned, although the improvement of the secret technique has greatly reduced the loss of lifespan, it's best for you to stop practicing after breaking through to the bone refining realm, otherwise. Luan Xiaoqi smiled slightly and did not agree. This method of becoming stronger at an extremely fast speed will fascinate people. How could he stop? In addition, the disadvantages of practicing the secret technique must be made clear to others, and never force anyone to practice it. Wei Hong said seriously, "I will give you 6 months to prepare, and it will be officially launched after 6 months. By then, you will need to go to foreign states where war and famine are rampant, and bring back a group of children in person." Okay. Luan Xiaoqi was not only unafraid, but was also very excited and ready to go. Chapter 150, More haste, less speed, chaos is coming. As the ancients said, haste makes waste. Wei Hong did not implement the plan immediately after improving the blood-melting secret technique. Because he knew that he could not leave, all matters had to be handed over to Luan Xiaoqi and other young people to handle, and their strength was still too weak. Bandits are rampant outside the capital of God, and wars are frequent. If you want to go to the disaster area without any self-protection ability and bring back a large number of orphans who have lost their parents and relatives, this is very unrealistic, so you must have a half-year buffer. I believe that with a blood-melting secret technique and a large number of nourishing pills, Lu and Zioki and other young people will have enough strength to protect themselves even if they cannot break through to the blood-refining realm, so he can send them out with confidence. Don't worry, you can't eat hot tofu in a hurry. After Wei Hong made up his mind, his life returned to peace again. 2 months passed quickly. In early November, his rapidly increasing strength ushered in another breakthrough. Wei Hong, who successfully exchanged blood for the 5th time, officially reached the peak of the blood-refining realm. Now he only needs to slowly accumulate the blood and ki to the limit of the blood-refining realm, and there will be no more obstacles in the middle. Once the blood and ki are full to the limit, he can try to enter the bone-refining realm. An 18-year-old strongman in the bone-refining realm. This kind of talent is simply mind-boggling. Moreover, Wei Hong is a young man who was born into a common family and has no power or influence. If the major powerful families knew this news, they would probably stay up all night and send assassins to kill him as soon as possible. With such strength, Wei Hong is no longer afraid of ordinary strong men in the early stage of the bone-refining realm. It is not difficult for him to kill the enemy across a large realm. Unfortunately, before he could wait for Shogang's return, the people from Prince Duan's mansion came to his door. Return to the team. In the manner of the prince's mansion, Wei Hong, who was teasing the birds, looked at Lei Peng, who came to inform him in surprise, and his expression was as ugly as if he had eaten shit. That's right. Lei Peng said dissatisfiedly, you kid are not lazy in the farm, are you? Don't forget your identity. No, I'm just injured. Wei Hong said depressedly, the palace won't let me, an injured person, go on patrol, right? Bullshit. Lei Peng sneered and said, don't you think the palace is blind? You kid has made quite a stir recently. In order to make some money, you registered under the name of a small chamber of commerce, and killed an old man in Anlifang. Do you look like you have internal injuries? Wei Hong smiled and didn't dare to refute. In fact, he was indeed a bit high profile. But after thinking about it, he still argued, I have no choice. I can't even afford good healing medicine without some money. I can only look for opportunities to make some money. Forget it, everyone is doing this kind of thing privately, and no one will embarrass you. Just don't go too far. Lei Peng waved his hand indifferently and said, but since your injuries have recovered, it's a bit unreasonable to hide in the manor and cheat, right? This. Wei Hong quickly calculated in his mind. He didn't want to go to the palace to be a 9-to-5 hard-working guard. This would not only delay his training but also easily expose his identity. It was simply 100 harms and no benefits for him. He disguised himself in the Prince Duan's mansion just to come to the Sutra Pavilion. How could he really guard the gate for them? But he had no reason to refuse. In this way, if he wanted to get out, he had to give up the identity of Li Tizhu. But his martial arts and secret techniques after breaking through to the bone-refining realm had to be obtained from the Sutra Pavilion in the Prince Duan's mansion. Naturally, Wei Hong was reluctant to leave. Anyway, it was really confusing to come here suddenly. By the way, Lei Peng seemed not to notice his concerns, and said to himself, since you performed well in the last mission, the higher-ups have arranged a good job for you. You will report to the water and land dock tomorrow. Oh. Wei Hong's eyes suddenly lit up. It would be better if he went back to Prince Duan's mansion to patrol. The water and land dock is not far from the mansion, and it is also close to Anlifang. Going there every day to take charge would not interfere with his practice, nor would it interfere with slaughtering pigs. Isn't the problem solved now? Fortunately, I didn't choose to give up my identity immediately. Wei Hong muttered in his heart, then nodded and said, I'll go there tomorrow, but Brother Lei, what are the rules for going to the water and land wharf? I heard that the benefits are quite lucrative. Isn't it? Lei Peng smacked his lips and chuckled, the water and land wharf is in charge of the shipping of the divine capital. Thousands of ships dock every day, and hundreds of thousands of people rely on it for their livelihood. All the major forces must get involved. Our Prince Duan's mansion also has a control area at the wharf. On weekdays, it is the subordinate gangs who collect the money. You will go there to take charge. But few people dare to make trouble at the wharf. The people we send over are basically just decorations, and the people below have to treat you like a big shot. Don't you think the benefits are not lucrative? Originally, the higher-ups were going to let someone else go. If I didn't know that you were short of money recently and tried my best to recommend you to Butler Yuan, this good job might not have fallen on you. Wei Hong became even more satisfied when he heard it. So this is a good job with a lot of money, little work, freedom and no one to bother you. Why refuse this? Isn't it just changing from the palace farm to the water and land dock to practice? Since you can get money and it won't delay your work, why not do it? Thank you, Brother Lei, I'll treat you to drink. Wei Hong smiled and thanked. Drinking shit, I'm very busy recently. Lei Peng waved his hand and asked casually, why do you keep so many birds here? Hey, just for fun. Wei Hong said casually. Lei Peng nodded and didn't say anything more. He just couldn't help complaining, damn it, I don't know what's going on recently. Several major events have happened in the palace, and many people have been secretly sent out. I have to go on a secret mission next, and I'll have a drink when I come back. Well, Wei Hong was tactful and didn't ask too much. He was lurking in the Prince Duan's mansion not to spy on intelligence, but just for the good things in the sutra library. Therefore, any conflict between the palace and any force has nothing to do with him. But Lei Peng is a chatterbox. He lowered his voice and sighed, you'd better buy some food and medicinal herbs if you have made money recently. His Majesty may not survive this winter, and then. Lei Peng was about to say something but stopped. Wei Hong was shocked when he heard this. He had heard that the old emperor was in poor health, and it seemed that the end was near. As a personal guard in Prince Duan's mansion, Lei Peng was often called upon to perform various secret missions. Naturally, his political sense was very keen. He was afraid that he knew something but could not say it out loud. Once the old emperor died, there would be princes fighting for the throne. By then, I am afraid that there would be a storm that would be more terrifying than the last assassination. Thinking of this, Wei Hong's face changed. Alice. After a sigh, he finally said nothing more. Please vote and read more. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.